And I was like, half of New South Wales got COVID.
I love the collective agreement that trams and buses are free.
I'm going to catfish my way to the top if I have to.
People were actually going to war, walking out with their friends, copping bullets.
Sometimes when it's like your 50-year-old colleague from
100%.
work who you never speak to.
So where you from? You never told me.
You never told me?
Like his son starts crying. Get a load of this guy.
It's like, nah, fam. Yeah, so $5 a month, you get additional bonus content.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Disruption Podcast, episode 188. We in this.
Finally got it right.
Baby.
Dude finally got it right for once, man.
Oh, it says finally got it right, bro. This guy only
No,
knows.
you always get the numbers.
because he edits it on the days. What number?
Yeah, and that's what,
I'm
bro.
pretty sure not being getting it right.
Nah, man, it's always 180, like 7, bro. 186.
Well, I'll tell you what he's wrong
got it,
about.
he got
What?
He's wrong about there's a guest next week.
We never know.
But
this week you're
but
right.
this time,
Also, who's getting all the guests?
Maybe there is some unspoken. Yeah. There is a
No,
bit
do
of
we
that.
have beef?
Maybe we need to have a
Actually,
conversation.
let's
Meeting,
introduce ourselves and then we
team
can
meeting
introduce the beef.
It's no the Baghdadi.
Oh man, Chief Olasoji in the building, baby.
It's your girl Moeezy.
It's the prince. What's happening?
That's it. Who
We're
we got with
joined
us?
by Thabi all the way from Wellington, New Zealand.
Let's go.
Thank you. Hey, Tabby Cats, how you doing?
Tabby
Putting New
Cats.
Zealand on the map. I think I'm the first guest from New Zealand, even though you literally lived there. So I don't know if it's... Is there really a flex? There's better things we do.
Nah, take it. Own it.
Take it,
Own
take
it.
it.
We'll move on.
Yeah. Welcome.
Our first
welcome.
international
Thank you.
guest.
Is it?
Cool.
Now who's not
Yeah.
getting the details right?
Yeah, no.
Well, aside from those mini episodes, proper like not a mini episode, a proper
Podcast
podcast.
episode.
Like
episode.
someone,
Yeah,
like,
first.
yeah.
So
Welcome,
nice for
man.
y'all to like fly me in. Like,
Yeah,
The hotel you put me up in is so fun.
Yo,
Yeah,
we got it.
five-star hotel.
You
bro.
say
did-
that
you-
because
Only the
the
best.
brands are not going to give us money. They're making it.
Yo, you didn't need to like link up with Lewis Hamilton like that. That was a nice touch though. That was a nice
How'd
touch.
you
Yeah,
find the Formula One suite?
bro, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
It
it's
was.
crazy.
Ooh, Lewis. Yeah, you know.
The TDE treatment, man.
That's what we're doing
Our
now.
people.
International guests and
You
that.
know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry if I have set a precedent that like future guests are gonna be like, hey, didn't you put that guy up in?
Yo,
like,
if they ask that the way that we're hitting them
We're
with
just
the
going to tell
yo,
them you are not international.
what does that mean?
We only did
Yeah,
that because he's
true.
A
international.
guest from Germany
That is
comes
true.
through and he's like, sorry, you're not international.
So
Sorry.
not that far.
You're not Commonwealth.
Right, it's mad. No, but thanks for coming down. It's pretty crazy because like what? We met you within the 24 hours that you touched road. How were you at an event already? Like what happened?
On a Friday.
Hold on, you're
Hey.
acting like he's jet lagged from New
No,
Zealand.
I'm not talking about the tiredness.
Crazy, bro.
It's not because of the
Yeah.
tiredness. I'm like, because you've never met any of the people
Nah, so
that you interacted with, right? Yeah.
literally, it started off with just seeing Bittersweet podcasts on TikTok, and then I saw them, and I was like, two black women on a podcast in the Australasia region. Like, let me find out more about them. Followed them, voice messaged them, saying like, "Yo, keen to come through and come to Australia at some point." They told me they were having the launch of their studio. Then from there, the dates
cool.
just aligned. I landed on the Thursday. The function was on the Friday.
Yeah.
I'm here for like 11 days, and it's like, cool, I'm here today, and got a couple other interviews lined up. So just busy.
That is good. So what's the purpose of the trip? You just here for vibes or what's
Nah,
going on?
bit of business, bit of pleasure. You know, you got to have a bit of both.
Of course.
Just trying to kind of promo the stuff that we do on the map, and also personally, I think Melbourne is somewhere that I could potentially see myself living in future. My dad lives in Australia, so got to see him. Shout out to Pops, and then just
Oh,
friends
Pops,
like.
man.
People moving from Wellington/New Zealand to Melbourne is a story as old as time. So I think I will forever in my life have friends who live in the region.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
like, hey, I'm in your city. How's your couch looking?
It's almost like getting less and less friends still in New Zealand or Wellington. More so
move
everyone's
down?
just moving down.
Honestly, it's crazy. Like moving over the ditch, it's happening more and more. I think I was reading on the train here.
No, sorry, the limo ride in because we got it
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Don't be
That's in the train. Don't disrespect.
not train, the limo
Nah,
chauffeur.
so I meant the train that I took from the airport
escort.
to the
There you
escort.
go.
The personal. My bro, call me slipping. I'm
There
so
we
sorry.
go.
I'm so sorry. I was just like online, and then they were talking about how I think 5,000 nurses or something have already signed up to move to Australia over the next like 6 months. Don't ask me about those stats. Like, do not ask me about them. I have a moniker on one of our podcasts, Unpacked, where I'm called Mr. Steal your statistic, but just
Right.
don't hit me up about that one.
Nah,
No,
bet,
our
bet,
people
bet.
don't really care about the.
Oh, don't. That's the vibe I got. Like, I was like,
We just
No
give
one's
them,
ever.
we
you know
just give
when
them fake
COVID started,
information.
yeah?
Oh, you don't even want to hear
Carl
what's going
It was
on.
the best statistic in the
oh,
world.
no, I love a good
I
stat.
gave
love-
them the worst statistics, bro. And I was like, half of New South Wales got COVID. I don't know where I got that from.
Bro, didn't he say something about Western Australia?
Yeah.
173,000 people died.
Bro, we were like, wait.
You know what's the
Pull
worst
that
part?
out of
They
nowhere.
believe, they're like, wow, that's a lot.
And then we deep the numbers. You're like, this guy's
You
capping,
say
bro.
something with confidence.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
telling
They'll
you.
catch
I'm
you, man.
telling you. You'll be like, oh, that sounds a bit crazy, but all right.
How do you think we all got our jobs? Just
Facts.
confidence.
I mean,
Facts,
we're all
man.
podcasters.
Yeah,
You know?
true.
We thought that the things that we have to say are worth,
Important.
like important.
That
so
people
there's a
actually
level-
want to listen to these
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a level of confidence, maybe arrogance, but hey, here we are.
Delusion?
Here we
I
are.
think
Don't
probably
forget the
closer to
delusion part.
delusion,
Yeah.
right?
Is this your first time coming down to Melbourne, or probably surely
I
before?
think I've been to Melbourne for like a day or so with my parents, but like as an adult, individually, like exploring the city by myself, like it's my first time.
Hey, welcome, man. Welcome.
Yeah.
I mean,
How's
so-
it been?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask. How's it been so far, though?
I love it. Honestly, jetting off the plane and then going to the limo and then pulling up to like a function where it was full of dope black people, people of color, vibing creatives. Like, I used to pray for times like these. So that just in and of itself was honestly incredible. Like, aside from that, I'm a massive public transport nerd. So the fact that y'all have like trams, trains, and buses, and they seemingly function at the same time, and the trams are low key free. Like I've discovered like
You got the
hiking.
free zone.
Like hiking.
You got the
Hiking?
free zone. Yeah.
Hiking, yeah. Sorry, free zone.
Hiking.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to the Australian government if you want to give this podcast a bread. Then you
Bit of
come
back.
through. Yeah, no, you need to pay for the tram.
Yes.
Getting audited.
Yes,
I
yes,
love
yes.
that. Okay, you know what? I love that you mentioned that tram thing because this is a side
Yeah,
part. We'll
yeah,
get back
yeah.
into the. I remember I was thinking this one day. I was like,
Yeah.
I love the collective agreement
It's so
that we've
fire.
all made that
Yeah.
trams and buses are free.
Oh, buses too.
Buses,
I can't believe I
nah.
swiped on the bus.
Nah, no one.
Wait, hold on.
Buses are harder
the
to
last
get
2 years
over.
of my high school, I was.
Wait, hold on.
tapping
Buses are
onto
free? Where?
Yo, we've made a collective conscious agreement to say that buses and trams
Wait,
are
are you saying they're
all
free right now?
Yeah.
We, depending on who you are, yeah.
Depending on how you walk onto the bus,
You
you
get
know.
me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know.
Like,
on who you
and
are.
just- honestly, the bus drivers know because you just hit him with a thanks, boss.
Oh, them ones.
Just thanks, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
What was wild for me is that like when somebody got onto the tram, they asked the driver, "Hey, do I need to pay?" Driver said no. I was like, "This runs deep. This runs deep."
I'm not gonna lie. I've never tapped my mic or anything on a tram. Like never.
Self snitching.
The bus is.
That's crazy.
nah.
That means you've never had an inspector come on the tram then, or
But
the
it's a
bus or anything like
But it's
that.
always packed. I don't. This,
Wait,
this,
you-
this is
move
my
around it.
this is my mentality. Yes.
Move to the front after they've done the front.
Nah.
Yo, it's deep. It runs.
My mentality is that if it's packed, then
It's
how
free.
that is going to be expected.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why. Yeah, I'm snitching, but I never touch on during peak hours on a train.
That's it. Train.
Yeah.
Train is crazy.
Yeah,
Nah,
train is mad.
Bro, I
That's
see-
extreme
No, that's what
sports.
I say.
during peak hour, yeah,
during
peak
peak.
hour.
Like
That's
when
extreme
no,
sports,
no,
right?
listen,
I know,
listen.
because there's sort of barriers.
What-
But that's what I'm saying. I see the homies.
Nah, bro. Think about this. Yeah, when everyone's going to the footy, yeah, it's packed. They don't have the time.
So not
to
peak hour, peak events.
Peak hour too. Like in the morning when I go.
Yeah, I know.
To be honest,
They choose like
I go
hours,
to
you
the
know.
city every day. Not every day. Like once a week.
You know when you're trying to help your guy to stop telling on himself? And he just doubles down?
Hey, keep
Ah,
going,
you
bro.
know, now we gotta cut this whole thing. Enos, how you doing, bro?
I haven't caught public transport. Limos only. Limos
Limos
only.
only.
It's crazy
But-
though, because you're the only person in Melbourne right now that likes Melbourne's public transport. Everyone else hates
Oh,
it.
word?
Nah. To
I
be
actually
honest,
don't like the train system at all.
Granted,
There's nothing really wrong with it.
Granted, I've been on one train, so you know I've been on one train. It was.
You
on
haven't seen the
time.
worst,
It
yeah.
was. It was good, but the tram system to me seems
The
great.
trams
should
are
check
good.
out-
Trams are great.
you should check out Sydney's. Have you been to Sydney?
I'm
Yeah,
going
that's
to Sydney.
phenomenal.
Okay, yeah, the train there. It's
Syd-
good.
Sydney's train's phenomenal. It's in the airport, bro. That's the wisest decision.
Bro,
Whoever-
I
like
don't
how
know.
good is that?
Like
Very, very
I
good.
think that all big cities should just have a train straight from the airport.
Yeah.
It just
makes
like
sense.
It's just logic. Like all of us, we clearly should be running for government because it seems like we've all got
And
this.
the,
But yeah,
the seats
Oh,
in
yeah, the-
Sydney, the
yeah.
most
Oh,
there's the
phenomenal thing.
seats? Bro,
Like,
the transfer.
He doesn't know what I'm
You're
talking
never
about.
alone.
You don't know what I'm
Just-
talking about
When
yet?
you go to Sydney,
Just-
just
just-
do this.
just-
So,
just do
wait,
this,
you
just
haven't
do
been there
this.
yet?
He's
I'm
got-
going.
he's
I'm
got-
going to Sydney like in a few days.
Oh yeah.
You
You're
like,
in for a trip.
nah, you gotta enjoy it.
Okay.
When
And
I
also,
went,
you don't need the card. You just use your credit
Bank
card.
card.
oh, is that
Bank
so?
cards.
Nice.
Whoa, you
Yeah,
don't.
That's
That's
Easy.
crazy.
That's
They've got the
city.
Opal, but you can just use your.
that city
that's
was
right.
made for tourism. Like they were like, how do we make life easy for
okay.
Nah,
tourists?
Sydney, know what? Yeah, we need that transport over here.
That's so.
I was gonna say on Friday, I loved your reaction. Yeah, obviously that's the bittersweet launch.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to
Shout
them.
out.
Yes.
Shout out to that new space. It's
Guys
looking
done
good.
well. Yeah.
How many people would you say? What, like 15 max or something like
Yeah,
that?
kind of floated. Yeah.
Have you seen his reaction? I love this. I've never seen that many black people in one room. We looked at each other. Like,
Okay,
I was like,
I have been to Zimbabwe. I've seen hella black people, but as like an adult, seeing
Yeah,
like
yeah.
friends and like young people,
Natives,
like
yeah.
Wellington does not have. I don't want to go in terms of like numbers specifically, but that has never happened in my lifetime living in New Zealand, and I've been there now 15 years. So the fact that I just happened to book a trip here, and maybe that probably doesn't happen all the time, like it was a one-time thing, but it's still like genuinely warmed my heart. And like on the car ride home, I was just gushing about how that was amazing. Like I'm gonna voice message my bro Kai, who I do all my creative stuff with, about how amazing it was and inspiring it was as well.
I feel,
That's
like
pretty
we,
dope.
I feel like we gotta take you to more events around here. Like I feel like you.
I was just thinking,
Yeah,
like, it's a
like, I
shame
was-
there's no rhythm while you're
There's
here.
no
or, yeah.
rhythm or like.
I was saying this to you when I was like, yo, you came in a quiet month. Like, I
Yeah.
was deep and I was like, damn, what's going on?
If you
Like,
appreciate that, man, you should see like what else is actually out
yeah,
there.
you get a
as well.
soju or something.
Soju,
right?
yeah, they have like
Definitely
a
not
trivia
soju.
night. Everyone comes together. Huh?
Well, look, if you're trying to slide in my DMs, then I mean,
You gonna come back?
Wait, I'll come back, absolutely.
But you be, you be
might
coming
have
back
to.
next week, bro.
No, I'm just not leaving. I'm not catching my flight. To the Australian government, I will be.
I will be
catching my
leaving,
flight.
yeah.
I will be leaving. To whoever, I will be leaving.
Yeah. Oh no, but yeah, it was actually a dope space. Like being able to celebrate them, especially within something that we're all trying to like achieve within. It's like to see what they
inspiring.
can do. I'm like, yeah, this is
it is.
it's quite dope. Like to be able to witness that. So soon come. That's all I know. Soon come for
Shout
sure.
out to
And it's
For-
like a template for like young black creatives.
Mm,
You know, they don't need to look up and be like, "Who's out there doing what I want to do?" They
They're
are.
literally doing
You
it.
guys are. I am. In New
Yes.
Zealand.
Tough scenes in New Zealand. New Zealand. Man.
Is that what you want to do with your podcast? Like, what's the? Do you want to have like your own space, or what you saying?
So we have like a media company which kind of sits like above the two kind of podcasts that we're currently running. But the plan is to have a space where all of them can literally content houses. Content houses are like they bring in kids and then they go on TikTok. So maybe not content houses, but like a space that we own / rent where we can be making content. We can have people over for community events, just like a space of our own. That is absolutely the plan. So if the New Zealand government or maybe the Melbourne government wants to like reach out, then that would be fire. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think that's because I think I was talking to Noah and he was telling me about the stuff that you do with like the youth camps as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is like when he was telling me about that, I was like, if I was like 11 years old and went to one of those camps, that would be dreaming.
It's good.
Just like so good. So it's like, hey, you got to make sure that you guys give each other your flowers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you look at it, you're like, you really trying to be the one putting in the yards. I remember sometimes we just talk to each other like, man, it would be nice to just be able to receive some of these things
100%.
instead, as opposed to trying to
Pay
do.
the
Yeah, like
Trailblazers, it's tough.
it's not every day run so people can walk.
Like,
Sometimes you're trying to walk too.
I'm trying to walk too.
I'm trying to walk as well.
live a
a bit,
nice
like-
life.
I'm trying to enjoy it, but I think that's the reality of it, though. Especially in that kind of space. The reality is that we have to create something,
Yeah.
right? It's unfortunate that we don't really get to enjoy it like that, but seeing the difference it can make is already enjoyable itself.
Like when they grow up and they think that's just normal to have these events and spaces, that's when you know you've won. When they don't even feel any form of like isolation or like I wish there were more events, that's when you know you've won.
I had to remind them, this is not normal, first of all.
You never think so just because they see it a lot though, or like
Yeah.
anyone, like you're seeing a lot of these things happen. So when you're telling them it's not normal, it's like, no, but it is. Like this is what I'm seeing around. But we come from a time
come
or
from a
place
time
where
where
it's
it's
like,
I don't know, back in
nothing.
the 80s, we
Okay,
sounded
yeah.
so old.
As soon as I said we come from a time, I'm like, okay, we're not that old.
Yeah,
But there's definitely been a period where there was nothing
Mm.
of, you know what I mean? Or like, just no one in our age group or from our areas were doing anything interesting that, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it is mad.
That's a progression, though, in Melbourne, though. You know,
I
times
was,
have changed.
I was thinking about it today, though, right? Because Noah had a meeting for some pod-related stuff. We had a meeting for some pod-related stuff as well as the community stuff as well. And I was just like, bro, there's so many meetings. I'm like we really...
I'm not gonna lie, I don't do work anymore. I don't do work anymore.
Let's go to meetings.
I'm like, this is the priority.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was even looking at that. I was like, there's so many different things, and it's like there's two main priorities that I look at the moment, which is clearly a podcast and community aspect of things, like the main ones. Yeah. Work is under there. Sorry to my manager, it's probably listening to this, but I'm still doing what I need to do, so it's cool. But like, I'm looking at those two things, and I'm like, you know, when everyone's talking about like, yeah, we're building, we're part of doing things, I realize we really are, because we're having very foundational meetings of like, okay, we want to develop this that's going to be able to do this, that's going to do this. And I'm like, geez, this is work, man. This is actually like tough scenes to like, just the type of conversation. I'm like, oh, wow, there's clearly not been people beforehand trying to have these types of conversations in certain spaces to create things like this. This really is the first like time that these types of things are happening. It's like, it's cool to see it be building, but it's like, when I start to look at the gravity of it all, I was just like, this is peak.
You know, it's like the first time when you're chatting to them, because today we actually had the meeting, and then and we pitch our ideas. He was like, sounds good. I don't know where it's gonna go. You know what I mean? So it's almost like this is actually the first time we're actually trialing these things. No one knows where it's gonna go, but gotta put in that work. How about you? Oh, so you don't do work anymore for?
People know this.
Is this a public resignation? No,
that would be crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. It's like the podcast and the community stuff. Look, it's been a priority. You know what I mean? Because
so when are you quitting your job?
Huh?
AdSense has been kicking in.
A whopping $2.50 on YouTube. Come on,
you
man.
haven't checked this since?
You guys forget about inflation.
$7.75.
Hey, we pulling tonight. Hey, thank you for the limo. I pay for my flight. You know,
75 cents after tax.
You get me, man. Life is good, bro.
True.
Life is good, man. Yeah. What do you think? What do you say that you're building at the moment overseas? Like, what do you think you're operating in?
That's a good question. I think if I was to have like a 5-year, 10-year plan of what I want to do, I would want to have an organization that has kind of like 3 different aspects to it, like the content creation with the podcast and the media stuff that we do now. Want to do an educational / community aspect as well. Like that is absolutely part of I don't know. A lot of the Zimbabweans I meet are all about education and like family and community. So that is, I think, maybe ingrained in me from quite early on, and then also helping out like NGOs and other community organizations with their content and their media as well. So I think kind of similar, without knowing the specifics, like kind of similar to what you want to do. I honestly, ultimately, I want young black kids, young black creatives to feel as though they feel seen in the media and just out there in the world from New Zealand. Like that is probably the be all and end all.
Who's a good export from New Zealand?
Easy.
What?
Israel Adesanya.
Oh, he's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Word.
I think he's Nigerian.
Yeah,
he's
But
Nigerian.
But he reps New Zealand really hard.
No,
Like
word.
hard. Yeah,
Hard,
he
yeah,
loves
absolutely.
New Zealand.
He's had a bit of a treacherous relationship with the country because I think he wanted to like bring a fight over to New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I think it was probably during COVID time and like some events were allowed to go on. Like I think like All Blacks games will of course forever be allowed to go on. But
Ain't nothing
UFC isn't necessarily perceived as like probably a big enough sport to the government or the powers that be. And that's just from what like he has said.
Yeah.
We've got no idea what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
so I don't know what his vibe is on the country at the moment. But, but like he rips it really, really hard. Which is
shout
dope
out
to
to
see.
him, man.
So Israel,
Yeah. Jacinta Ardern,
what, the prime
Prime
minister?
Minister. That's a good export. Bro.
Export. She's still there, bro.
Well, she resigned. She's no
Oh,
longer,
she's done.
Yeah, she's no longer the prime minister. We've got Chris Hipkins.
That was a while ago.
Just as vibes. What, a while ago?
Wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
like January, February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Man,
been a while.
That's a
It's been
few
a while since it
months,
happened.
yeah.
Ain't a while. We just started.
Yeah.
We're talking like
January, that's alright.
This is also fascinating to me because I'm always interested in how much Australians actually care about New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because we obviously care a lot about what happens here.
Yeah. I was
And the
gonna
fact
ask
that
you,
you,
yeah.
the fact that you
Bro.
don't know to me
Respectfully,
seems
man.
crazy.
Respectfully.
Seems great.
Nah, yeah,
Sir
respect.
Evan Hillary.
Don't even say respectfully. Don't say respectfully's name in vain. Like, don't hit me with that. Don't hit me with that. Respectfully.
like.
Nah, yeah, respectfully, yeah.
There's not a lot
Come
that
on.
I'm looking into.
Surely.
man.
Name someone from New Zealand right now.
Israel Adesanya. And
Oh,
Jacinta Ardern.
No, can you name?
There's
Can you
someone
name?
else.
Can you name anybody from New Zealand that isn't an athlete?
Yeah.
Isn't an athlete. Why'd you guys do this to me, man? I'm gonna get ripped in the comments.
That's okay. Because you don't. Because like what? Why should you?
Right.
Nah, you should. I tried for
Wow.
a
So why do you guys take so
Wait,
much
okay,
interest
okay,
in
wait.
Australia then?
not an athlete is pretty hard. Like the only one I can think of right now is
Wait, were you born in New Zealand?
I was born in Auckland. Yeah.
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 So you
Sir
struggled-
Edmund Hillary. That's the first person to ever climb Everest.
That is such a history. Like you were born. Yeah, that is. If you just say that one, I could immediately
the
tell.
Kiwi bird. No, wait, like something outside of athlete is
To be
hard.
fair, athlete is hard. Athlete, I do admit, because I'm now thinking of like Australians that, and I know
Like-
some, like I know musicians and different things like.
Yeah.
Like, do you know any like big New Zealand
come on.
musicians?
Is Jessica Malboy from New Zealand?
Wow.
No? Oh my gosh.
Goodness me.
The way
Jessica
you just grabbed
Malboy.
her arm,
Yeah,
like,
like, stop.
like, that was
Wait,
crazy.
what happened?
Wait, come on, Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lab.
yeah.
Lab, yeah, Lab's a big one for
I'm
me.
not gonna lie. The only reason I'm lab is
Promised land. Promised land, me too.
I don't
and I
know.
remember everyone was mad. That's why.
Yeah,
I also don't listen to their music, but
Nice.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced LAB. Like,
Oh.
I don't think
Yeah, I don't know why people are doing that here.
It's not lab.
I don't
Oh,
think
it says
but, like,
LAB.
I could be wrong. I could honestly be wrong.
That's a lot of work,
we'll,
man.
Yeah, we'll go with
Dave
that.
Dobbin?
Wow.
Dave Dobbin, is that?
I know David Dobrik.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I was like, I know David Dobb, but who is it? You got it.
Damn. No, this is interesting to me because we care
artist?
a lot about Australia.
Yeah, so why? I was gonna ask why
that-
do you guys care a lot about Australia? Like, what do we do
Well, I
here?
think firstly, like the pipeline is like a lot of people think of moving to Australia. A lot of people have
Okay, that's
family
true.
in Australia,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
guess like if you don't have any family in another
Bro, I thought
country,
you said F you.
Yeah, nah, to be honest,
is that the thick New Zealand? Oh, that's embarrassing.
good.
But if you don't have any family in New Zealand, then why like? Well, obviously you want to be a global citizen, and be across what's happening in different parts
It's
of
a
the
lot.
world. But there's a lot,
There's a
and
lot.
we also have countries that we may care a lot more about than
Yeah.
the one that's just closest.
I
to
didn't
us.
want to say that, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
no.
I'm. Yeah.
And there are also other countries that are closer to Australia than New Zealand.
New Zealand is a vibe though. Like I was there 2019. I think it
Oh,
was.
you did go to New Zealand.
Yeah, but we were only really in Auckland.
What was the purpose of the trip? Business or
Just
pleasure?
vibes. Spend with family vibes. A bunch of hiking. It's kind of cold. Not gonna lie.
Auckland rains a lot.
Yeah, it was- but it didn't rain too much while we were there, which is all right. But man, the petrol is what got me shook. So I don't even know what's going on with you guys right now. If ours is at what regular New Zealand
Yeah.
price was, like ours right now, everyone's losing that. We're losing our minds. But
Like
I was there and
like
I,
approx, how much is it here?
2 point something.
$2.
$2.
Yeah,
$2.
over
And
$2.
that was standard apparently over there. And I
Oh,
said,
at the moment, I think it would be like $2.50.
yeah,
Damn,
look,
how you guys living like
riots
that?
in the street.
Oh,
Yo.
Look, the cost of living around the world is going crazy.
Yeah.
But I think in New Zealand it is astronomical, and also incomes are not keeping up with inflation. I think like the big thing that people say when they move to Australia is you just earn more money.
Yeah, right.
Like you earn more
Yeah,
money.
yeah, yeah.
You maybe need to pay a little bit more just because of exchange rate and things,
Mm.
etc. But the difference is still better to a point where a lot of people move to Melbourne, Sydney, and other parts of the country. So
Yeah.
it's like, it makes sense.
Oh, it was a nice spot, man. I want to check out South Island because Auckland was north, right?
Yeah, Auckland is near the top of the North
Yeah.
Island and then South Island.
Damn, I was at the top of the north.
Nearly. I'm not trying to disrespect my bro Kai is from Kaitaia, which is near the top of the North
Yeah,
Island. So
yeah,
if I
yeah.
just said Auckland was the top,
It's beef.
I'm not allowed back in the country.
Kai got me waiting for you at immigration.
No, he
man.
would. No, trust. People are so passionate about Kaitaia, like
Yeah,
where he's
right.
from. They really represent it, which is dope. I love it.
I'm thinking of going to New Zealand. What would you recommend?
LAB.
Like what's the vibe?
LAB.
Maybe Lord. I would recommend spending time in. See, if you're coming from a big city, which I would term Melbourne as,
You're right.
I wouldn't necessarily see much value in going to Auckland because I would say that it is the most big city part of the country.
Yeah.
So you're not
Goodness
really going to
gracious.
experience much of a difference
No,
Yeah.
in going to
that was the
Auckland.
big city.
No, like exactly my point. Bro,
Yeah, but now imagine going to Christchurch. That is the deadest city in the world, bro.
Word up.
That is 2 streets shut down 6 p.m. on Saturday.
This is giving Adelaide.
It's
Literally.
to be,
It can't be-
to be
Adelaide,
fair-
Adelaide might be a bit.
That's
To be fair,
that's
I
a lot.
wanna pay my respects to Christchurch.
Yeah, you gotta-
because they
you gotta-
had,
you gotta hold it down.
Earthquakes, so it really did ruin a lot of the city. And like
does cripple.
when that happens, like a lot of people leave. So I think, like, to be fair, let's give it some time. But like Christchurch is not too hot on the streets. Like I don't really go there unless I actually haven't. I think I've been there one time with my parents, but aside from that, I've got no real interest in going to Christchurch. So I'd recommend classic when I live there, Wellington, and then also like if you want to get a really thorough understanding of New Zealand, go to a rural town.
Is that what you went or not?
Just
No,
because
Auckland's big city. Auckland's a big
Oh,
Big
yeah,
city is a
Auckland.
crazy.
Yeah, the way that
statement.
you're like laughing, I'm like, damn, bro. Like, I feel
Like,
like
that's
I'm
a
getting like
big
big brother. You think Auckland's big city?
It ain't even like
Damn, alright. Should I hand him my New Zealand passport? Like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad.
No, I would, because I lived in England for 10 years.
Oh,
so
what?
I have,
You said 10 years.
yeah. So I have scope of understanding of what big cities are
yeah,
like.
yeah.
So I understand you looking at Auckland being like, that's crazy. Like, I think what I would say, and I guess in terms of like how you determine whether a city is big, would you reasonably Uber across the city?
Reasonably.
In Wellington, easily.
Yeah.
Where I live, easily.
Yeah.
Auckland, it's getting a bit sticky. I don't know, maybe like 70, 80 kind of like bucks versus like, I don't know. I imagine Melbourne would be, depending on how you define city, would be crazy to Uber
Oh, there's
across.
some serious numbers to go from. Yo, do that distance is some serious
It's not
numbers.
that bad. It's 40 per person. The person listening knows who they are.
Someone did that once. They're talking about, yeah, it's not even that bad. When you split between three
five
people,
of
it's 40 of us. $40. I'm like, wait, what?
That's
Just say it.
One way.
Yo, yeah,
Oh,
one
that's-
way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, like New Zealand does not have big cities. Auckland is the biggest city. But like rural New Zealand, where there's a lot of farming that goes on, that is
Yes,
part of the
sheep.
country that people don't talk about and engage with enough. Like, I'm not trying to.
I'm trying to tap into that, man.
Yeah, I feel like New Zealand, if you go, you should be going on a thing of like, I want to see natural beauty.
100%. That is
You know,
why.
like-
that is why you would come to New Zealand.
That's what I wanted to do, but my parents went on that at the time.
And South Island's got that.
Yeah,
I mean,
South Island's
South
going for that.
What is North Island? Rotorua?
Rotorua.
Yeah, you
That
go.
smells
There's,
bad, bro.
Say smells?
nah,
It's like
there's.
rotten egg.
there's
Oh,
like
is that the sulfur part?
so
Yeah,
bad,
yeah, I
so
remember
it-
that.
So it smells bad, but it's like it's part of the vibe.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I
like
went
it.
to the volcano.
It's part of the
Oh,
vibe.
is that? Yeah.
Yeah, because we did do that. Facts. Dude, you just
So that's
brought
why.
memory
That's
back.
why it stunk. Like,
Yeah.
it is
Oh
just
no,
like
I remember why it's that, but I was just like, oh, I forgot I completely even like did that. You know what I found interesting though? Because you mentioned what Christchurch, yeah, I've been there like once with my family, this place. It's interesting though, because how long have you lived there now?
14 or 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
In 15 years, it's like you've touched here, touched there. I find it interesting when we don't explore where we're at.
That's a good point.
I find it very interesting, yeah,
Like-
when we don't.
Like like
You're prime suspect of
like
never
what,
exploring.
the country or what?
Country,
Yeah.
I'm gonna extend it to country, but even city, the amount of people I know that have not, you're calm with the city. You've done your
You're
trip.
right, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Nah,
city,
nah,
you're
nah.
fine. Country, yeah. But
True. I can't argue with that.
but I was shook, yeah. The amount of people I know that have just not explored in their surroundings or their space. I'm like, how busy do we end up getting that we don't do that? Or what is it that stops us from being able to go around and suss what we got? What's right near us?
I think that maybe there's, and it depends on your level of wealth, but maybe you do a lot of that traveling as a young kid, maybe with your parents. And then as an adult, you just have so many responsibilities and things that get in the way. And also it's like, there are parts of the country that as a black person are just like not really a place that I would want to go and spend a lot of time in. So it's like, I'm calm.
With not going there.
I'm good with not going. They may not want me. I don't necessarily want to see them, so we're good. We're good.
Mutual understanding
Mutual
is right.
understanding.
Yeah.
Like if I go there
I'm
and like I
shook.
get cussed out, it's like, I mean, I
That's
kinda-
happening
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah, that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand's marketing is amazing.
Shout out.
Oh, it is amazing. I mean, it's the reason why my family moved there. Like the whole
So we got catfished.
Oh, hey.
They got us.
Catfish would be strong, but like
Yeah,
the
right.
clean green imagery, the lifestyle, everything. It is the case,
Yeah.
but like every single country, it has its issues.
Yeah.
We like to, and I think a lot of countries also do this as well. Oh, well, we're not as bad as such and such Australia, and there may be indigenous relations, or we're not as bad as America with their da-da-da. And it's like, how about we look internally as someone who hasn't done a
Just
whole bunch
not
of
be
traveling?
bad.
Yeah.
That
Said
is
just
true,
not be
but like, and I always say this, like, New Zealand's relationship. Nah, hold on. New Zealand's government's relationship with Maoris is so much better than Australia's relationship
Oh yeah.
with Indigenous Australians. Like, to the point where it's like everything is in both languages, right? When you enter the country, that is a phenomenal aspect.
Maybe more so. Yeah, maybe
You
maybe
know,
more
or
so
even
than
the
Australia. Yeah.
passport. Oh no,
Yeah,
in New Zealand.
Oh, in New Zealand, yeah, the passport.
Like
yeah,
in Australia, you can honestly go a year without really interacting with an Indigenous person,
Yeah.
which is crazy when you think about it. It says a lot about the
the
you know,
colonization, the
the
brutal
way
way.
they colonized here as well, you know.
I think.
But like in New Zealand, like, I mean, even the years I was there, like, I can't even remember a classroom where I didn't have at least one Maori kid in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like as the resident New Zealander, I will just correct the room. It's pronounced Māori, so you roll the R.
Yeah.
You roll the R. Yeah, no, we love to look at Australia and be like, oh, their like colonization was horrible. New Zealand is actually all good, and it's like, is it? I don't know, but yeah, I would say
In comparison, kind
visibly,
of thing,
in comparison, yeah, visibly, a lot more Māori words like today are like spoken and just implemented within the country. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are so right because according to stats, 50%.
Oh no! Hell, yeah.
I was like, how does this man have a stat that would relate to? I was like, all right, bro.
He's him.
He's done his
He's
research. Okay,
No stats here, cuz.
Hey.
Look, I should have just said it and just, yeah.
So how old were you when you moved to New Zealand?
So I was 12, just turned 12 when I moved to New Zealand. I was born in Zim, lived there for 2 years, lived in England moved to England when I was 2 years old, lived in England for 10 years, and then moved to Wellington in New Zealand.
What was England like at the time that you were there, if you remember?
Honestly, I wish I remembered more, but I think it was a vibe. I was also between the age
I
of
love
two-
that. I think it was.
I doesn't know.
I'd probably say I think it was a vibe because England and London in particular, or maybe the parts of TikTok that I see on London seem to be a vibe. You know,
Yeah.
seem to be a vibe.
Yeah.
Versus it's like, I don't know, my parents didn't have like a whole bunch of money, like things, but we didn't like struggle. So it was like, it was probably tough in general, but they shielded that from me. So it was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
Like
It's kind of
everyone's
annoying.
parents.
Yeah. I was thinking it's kind of annoying how the brain just doesn't
Nothing.
hold these memories down.
Honestly, yeah, 'cause I lived there 10 years and I can't remember a single thing.
That's kind of
And
crazy.
the fact that I've like lost the accent, because
You had it.
that voice message res with an English accent,
Different, yeah.
crazy, different gravy, fam. It would be crazy. Instead, it's like, hey, how you got? And it's like that, bro. That was across of New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
one should never be brought out
No,
again.
that was great. Don't even clip this up. I don't want to see no TikToks and reels.
This is
of that.
opening sequence
That
clips
was
right here.
slander.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was.
I was just mad, yeah, because I'm like, yo, there's all these, like, because we've seen it with our eyes. And our brain has registered these things. But yeah, we try to take our mind back to it, and it's like, yeah, I'm not able
Nah,
to.
fam, you ain't
There's
unlocking that
nothing
memory.
there.
Nothing.
That's mad to me. Like, you genuinely just can't pick any of these
What's
things.
the earliest age you guys remember? Like, what memories from, like, yeah. What's the
Because I always
oldest
say
thing
my
you-
memory I've got, and you guys roast me. I think I have this memory of me and my dad. Remember the one I said
yeah.
about? I have this memory.
I can believe this almost.
The almost is like, hey, keep going.
I remember this. I must have been, because I came to Australia when I was 3, so I would have been 3, just probably maybe 2.5 or something, maybe. My dad and I were on our way to a Bible study, and he was wearing just the night robe gowns, but like the white gown. I had one too, and I remember us, drip. I remember us skipping across a gutter. That's it.
Okay, to be honest,
It's not
Yeah,
a memory
bro.
worth holding on to.
That's a good question.
Wait, that's it?
That's it.
Like,
wait, I always thought you were like 3.5. 2.5 is crazy. You definitely don't believe that. You definitely
No,
don't
yeah, because I
remember
wouldn't have been 3. Oh, no, potentially, actually, sorry, because we came in September. I thought we came in January. Yeah, so maybe, yeah, between 2.5 to 3.5 would have been the range for this, yeah.
that.
What's wild to me is that it seems so inconsequential in your life. But
Literally.
you seemingly remember that.
I'm holding on to it, man.
Yeah,
That's all
like,
I've got for
holding on.
Nigeria. That's all I have of Nigeria. My sister was even crazier. She thought Nigeria, don't even ask me how this makes sense. She thought Nigeria was a garage. That's
The garage in your house?
just
A
a.
garage.
I don't know what in her mind happened,
Okay,
but that's what she thought it was.
But I thought my mom's mom was Marge Simpson's. Yeah, I thought my mom's mom looked like Marge Simpson. I'd never met my grandma. I just in my head I was like, oh, that's what my grandma looks like.
That is so
Have you seen a
random.
photo?
That is so random.
Like I met my grandma the first time when I was 4. Yeah, 4. And I think that's when I have the first memories. It's like
Of Simpsons.
Yeah, and I thought she looked like Marge Simpson. I would tell my mom, oh, your mom looks like that.
Right, she's just taking all the
I love
offense
his
in the
mouth reaction. No, she doesn't.
Blue.
Because that was the thing for me. Mine just is blue. Like what?
Yeah.
Did it have
and the whole
yeah, that's what. There's a lot to digest
Yeah.
here. There's
Right. What, you guys tell me you've got some better earlier memories than that? That seems like a cool, great memory. I think it's very accurate, very truth-filled.
Well,
That's like a 3-second memory, bro.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like the description is longer than the memory itself. Genuinely.
I was waiting for something, but he's just like walking.
The whole memory is we
In the
skipped
gutter.
across a gutter
honestly,
to Bible
it was
study.
kind of anticlimactic. I was like, okay, and then what happened? And you're just like, and that's the memory. So you stepped over, like,
Yeah, that's all, man. I genuinely that's literally all I can remember.
Did you move around a lot as a kid? Because I feel as if you move around a lot, it might be more
No,
difficult to
not too
remember.
tough. Nah, maybe one in Nigeria a little bit earlier years though, so I wouldn't even remember anyways. But then we came here, we lived with our cousins, moved to our house, then moved to the house that we're in now. So it wasn't like a lot jumping around. I don't know if that's what happened to you then. You remember anything?
No, I remember everything after the age of like 5.
That's pretty strong. Huh?
Very
After the age
Yeah,
of
I
5.
remember everywhere that I've lived after the age of 5.
Yeah.
But
My guy being around the world, man.
early New Zealand days, not so much. But after that, yeah.
Pretty good to have that memory.
Ironically, like everything. It sounds dumb, but everything 9/11 onwards, I remember because that was the age. I'll explain why. I'll explain why.
What's going on here? What's happening? What's going on right now?
I mean, look, to be fair, I roasted you for your event being so inconsequential.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
now you go
true.
here.
Like, that is,
Yeah.
so like, okay,
Okay,
like, I'm
okay.
not going.
Let's see the reasoning for it.
No,
though.
so the reason was because we left New Zealand. My dad moved to America, and then he told my mum, he was like, "Hey, take the kids and go to Iraq for 6 months, so they can meet grandparents, some cousins, whatnot." A month into being there, 9/11 happens, and my dad's like, "Yo, you guys need to come right now because obviously they're gonna shut the door on Arabs pretty soon." So that and like that is my first memories at around the same time. It's like meeting my grandma, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that is around that period of time I remember, and everything since then is.
To be fair, that
remember.
phone call would have been like
Mad
that makes
scenes.
sense. That
Yeah.
that actually, when you break it down, that does actually make a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I can't believe I laughed.
It's funny. Well, the Arab guy's memory of life.
No,
That's
be
the one
honest,
on
that's
top.
what you're thinking. Be honest, bro. Because Daniel and I was thinking the
Wait,
same
that's
thing.
wild. You hear what this guy said?
What
No.
did he say?
Well, what did we?
He said, "We on top."
What do you mean?
Nice.
When did I say these words? What the heck is happening here?
Yo, what kind of
That's a
pot? I'm like,
tragedy,
oh,
bro.
that's
Nah.
crazy.
Hey, we'll,
That's a tragedy.
apologize.
so
We're normally not like this.
We
Definitely.
definitely normally are.
I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to
that's
like
just
the
sort
notes
of-
app screenshot, like apology on it.
The way everyone
Nah.
just the PR, typical PR apology. Yeah.
Just copy
Apologize, you
paste
did not
this
find
one,
my
honestly.
Right.
Don't hire a lawyer. Just copy paste like. the
Use
latest
someone else's in the
template.
part. Yeah, man. Oh, that's interesting.
You
Man.
know what's a
That
dope fact
is-
about New Zealand? The first country to let women vote.
In the world.
Shout out to them for that.
When was this?
50 something.
Okay.
Honestly, we did an episode on this. I really should know, but that is true.
Yeah.
I think not the first like region, but first country. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're an Unpacked listener, fact check me and correct me because I do not remember.
What year is this?
They literally
I
just
think it
tried
was like
to fake the.
1957 or something like that.
What do you mean? So what, you just be spitting facts and no one, like, did you just confidently spit?
Okay,
facts? Bro, like, wait, what's-
rewind. Okay, we recorded the specific episode maybe 10 months ago.
Right.
Okay.
So you mean to tell me that you remember something you said 10 months ago on an episode when you're recording once a week?
Yes and no.
Yeah, it depends.
What
It
I was
depends,
more
it
so
depends.
asking is that, so yeah, you speak a lot of facts on air, but I'm saying, because you research this
No,
stuff,
we
right?
have we research
Yeah,
this stuff,
yeah,
and we have
yeah,
people
yeah,
who research
yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff as well.
Right.
Now, I'm not necessarily like in the trenches on Wikipedia on these other sources. I at times get like this is the specific fact.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily ingrained in my mind as if you like searched up. Like you searching that up
Gotcha,
then,
gotcha.
you will probably
Yeah.
remember this fact
Yeah.
for a long time because you now have
Because it's
the.
also
Yeah.
a surprisingly old date. 1893.
18.
That's older than Australia.
1893.
As a
They won
Hey.
up us again.
So someone said
Aight.
1957.
definitely this
I also said the fact. I brought the whole conversation.
To be honest.
Damn.
We can't, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, as mad as it sounds, it doesn't seem very believable that it would be older than 1957.
Yeah, to be honest, you're right.
The fact that we were all like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Nah, he
Yeah,
didn't.
what?
No.
1957,
Nah,
there was
honestly.
women, and then 1970, it was black people. Yeah.
We were just so casual,
Bro, when he said that, I was like,
He said it with confidence. That's why
no,
I believed it.
not even that. Like, it just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
That's
None of us.
actually crazy. We should have been, but I mean, none of us were alive. This was like 1950 was like 40, 30 years before any of us were alive. So it's hard to think of when things necessarily happen before we're alive. That is the reasoning that I'm going with.
Yep.
I will write it in my notes app. Apology.
Again, the apology, yeah?
Apology, yeah.
No, but that's actually crazy, though. I mean, 1893 is
Letting
not
women
that.
vote.
Yeah. No, the
I
fact that
knew
it was.
someone was.
No, but it's the fact that it was like, okay, that is within. Like, it's what, 130, literally 130 years, right?
Yeah.
That's not a lot. Like, okay, how long have governments in some capacity existed?
I mean, yeah, there's old countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And only 130 years ago.
But this is also a modern world thing. I mean, like, you're talking, like, there is ancient Egypt or whatever where, like, the
Yeah,
women
you do
were
have some,
leading the country. You
A
know what I mean?
matriarchal
That's-
Yeah,
society,
yes,
exactly.
Like,
yes, true.
This is everything is a modern history fact. You know?
Even then, though, like,
It is kind of mad.
bro, that's some
That's crazy.
trash modern, bro.
It kind of shows how women, and then also in that case, as you said, black people have not been treated too well.
That's
all
a
the time.
mad thing, man. 130 years only since women. And we all were just like, yeah, fair facts. Like, yeah, that seems about reasonable.
Agreed to it.
But
That's
yeah.
crazy, man.
I don't think.
I find these type of numbers wild, bro. Yeah, damn, man. You mentioned something about America before, though, and that was something I was thinking about this. I mean, everything that is, I think, a lot of the time crazy with this world, I can typically look at America and see
Make yourself feel good about it.
pretty much, man.
Oh, that doesn't happen here.
Man, a lot of these things definitely don't, but like
Do you think that?
Oh,
Or do you think you
well,
just don't
where I'm
see
going
it?
is more so like, okay, so I mean, obviously they had the massive like school shooting that happened
Oh,
last
yeah,
week,
as well.
and then
Yeah,
probably the
that's-
week
that was
before, and
crazy.
the day before, the week before, and the week before. You know what I mean? Like the whole, just every week, the whole past year.
Yeah.
Right? That stuff, I'm like, bro, ain't no way that like no one is thinking that this is mad. This guy's moving like the video of TikTok.
Wow, that's
There's
funny.
this TikTok video. No, there was a
I
TikTok
didn't
video.
see this
This
video.
video is so.
The way you were giggling, I was like, this is funny.
No,
He's
no.
talking about school
Nah,
shootings.
we understand.
Right, okay, you have to
Okay.
explain the video. now.
Anyway.
Yes,
There's
I don't
this kid
understand
who's
it.
been in a school shooting, 15-year-old, yeah? And he's like,
No, when he explains it, it
can
was
we
just
take a break out, show him? And then we
Yeah,
back.
show it.
Okay. Yeah, because the fact that you were laughing while explaining, I was like, bro, this is
Nah. There's a video which I don't understand.
Hold on.
Me and him used to joke around. Me and him used to play.
And then, news, another classmate died. Javon described calling his dad during the shooting.
I was whispering because I didn't want the shooter to hear me and my classmates.
Why your dad? Is he your superhero?
Yes.
Bro, the dad is so toxic.
not the whole like the shirt.
And then he tries to act like he's crying. So the reason, okay, obviously no one's laughing at the situation of a school shooting, but the toxicity within the dad
That was
in that video was mad. Like his son starts crying and the dad goes, get a load of this guy.
Because when I saw that, I was
Yo!
what is my
Mom
mom?
looked at it.
You know what? Mom is like, bro, what?
So this is what I realized. I'm like, clearly either his like the dad's brother is in the room as well or something.
Yeah.
Someone's behind the
Oh,
And
yeah,
he's just like, yo, yeah, what
This is the one where you're doing a presentation at school and your friends
Your
are giggling.
friends are giggling.
Yeah. And it's just horrible.
Bro,
Bro,
your
the
son,
guy's crying,
son
bro.
says, yeah, my dad's my
Justice.
dad's my
Bro, the guy
superhero.
said justice.
I was, so I knew him. I'm like,
Bro, the dad goes
that was crazy.
That's
like,
really
okay,
Nah, that's rude, bro.
that's a bad
I
rewinding
spent
that.
an hour this morning dying laughing at that video.
Oh, I've been seeing it everywhere literally this whole day.
on
But
TV,
that was the Nashville. Was that from the Nashville?
I don't know.
At this
I
point,
think,
honestly,
I think I
Big one.
remember reading Nashville.
Yeah.
yeah, crazy
Did you see
man.
the video, bro?
Yeah.
I didn't really want
the
to
girl
try to
going
check it out, but I
into
did
the
see,
hospital.
yeah, I
I'm
did see
watching that
something.
stuff.
I mean,
Nah,
yes.
there wasn't like obviously you didn't see the shooting, but it's just
It was her with the gun, like entering the school.
Yeah,
premises,
yeah.
You know, scouting the place.
Bro, and I just look at a place like that and I'm like, okay, obviously, yeah, like you mentioned, like, okay, there's definitely things in every single country that's going crazy. But I'm looking at that and I'm just like, I saw the Ghanaian, I was a Ghanaian official it was a video of him talking about how Kamala Harris was, I guess, talking about some human rights violations that she'd observed within Ghana. And he's like, ain't no way you're coming here to talk to us about human rights violations when there's no right to life for children in your country, and no one wants to like actively listen to these conversations or try to put things in place about it. And I was just like, man, this is interesting in this modern world that we're talking about. Like this, it's wild that these are the conversations that we still have, or these are the issues that are going on. Just in general, a lot of the issues, anyways. Like in regards to the amount of resources that we've got, some of the technological advances we've achieved. We're going to the moon, and we ain't even seeing what's happening or focusing on what's going on here. I was just like, man. Especially in America, I'm like, America ain't
That's an issue. I don't know when that's going to stop. Apparently, the statistic, and there's an actual statistic, 133 shootings so far this year, mass shootings.
This year.
Mass shootings. We had 133
masses
days.
when more than 3 people or 4 people are hit.
Right.
That's, And it's like, to your point, I think I remember when we were doing an episode, someone said that as individuals, we've never had less power than we have to enact change, but collectively, because of government's technology infrastructure, we have so much ability to enact change, and nothing in that sense is being done. And like another stat, which
is
verify,
real as well,
but I'm pretty sure I've seen it spoken about a lot. I'm pretty sure that gun violence is the single biggest killer of American children and teenagers in the States. So bigger than car accidents or something else, which to me is
wild, man.
Wow, because I think even within a lot of that is just like accidental shootings, like a kid accidentally gets control of it.
Which is part of the issue still.
Which is just like, and we don't even hear about
that. True.
Because I mean, it's in a weird way, it's like, imagine the news had to report every single one of these coming out of America. They have to actually only report the very important stuff. You know what I mean? That's
bigger than number.
That's crazy. As it sounds. It's when 26 kids die in New Jersey. It's like, that's wild, man. It is. Like, now you've just forgotten about all the little, 3 here, 1 here, 2 here.
That is,
man, America's wild, man.
Yeah.
It is very insane.
What'd you say about you said that?
Yeah, I saw you react to this.
Yeah, it was very
interesting.
Like,
so
you said something's coming.
I was like, oh, I'm going to have to back this one up, right? I'm going to have to.
But you're saying that as individuals, we've never had less power, but as a collective, we've never had more. Oh, sorry, you say it in your.
No, that is actually correct. Like as a collective, we've never had more in terms of. We have a lot of the technology we need to solve a lot of the world problems. We have enough smart people. We have enough resources. Right. We just choose not to. Whether actively or inactively, like there are people who are obviously activists and people who want change. They're trying to do their bit. But in terms of like the collective power, we have a lot.
What did power look like as individuals like prior to? Like what would we say?
Well, I think
why do we think we had a lot more agency?
You may have had greater access to, say, community leaders who can then maybe enact change versus now. And maybe just like looking at numbers, I'm 1 out of 5 million in New Zealand who are going to maybe vote. I mean, voting numbers are atrocious. Only half the people are going to vote, but that is another conversation.
It's not compulsory for you guys?
No. Oh, well, like, yes. But
New Zealand wins again. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, put that one up on the board. Because I think, is there a threat of being fined?
Yeah, we get fined.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
You guys don't?
No. But like, do people actually get fined?
Nah, the people actually
they
get
do,
problems.
Wait. To the point where I actually don't know anyone that doesn't vote.
That doesn't vote, yeah.
Everyone votes.
Maybe they've scared us well enough. You know what? It's a trade. We don't pay for Mikey.
I was gonna say,
we don't tap on the tram. We vote. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, nah.
That's good. I mean,
I think
when the options aren't Guan and like that, it's not really.
People just go tick 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 just to vote.
Nah, I think it's an important thing that every.
No, it's important, but it's like it sucks that you like what you look at. You're like,
oh no, they're all.
Bro, you're all cheeks. You're absolutely.
I'm only here because I don't want to pay a
There
fine.
was this video that went viral. It was Dom Perrottet, who's the what's it called of New South Wales. What are they called?
Premier.
The
only New Zealand.
Okay. And then,
bro, he said Dom, and I thought like Godfather, like where we
Dom
go?
Perignon.
Yeah. It's like, why have I heard this before?
Self-sufficient Dom Perignon.
And the other guy, the opposition,
Yeah.
And they're like doing one of those like live TV debate type things, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, what's your strategy on this?" And he says it. "What's your strategy on this?" Says the same thing. Same thing. This one. Same thing. Like literally 10, 11 topics in a row. Same thing. And I was like, bro, so what are you voting for? Like, you guys clearly Best friends.
Best friends.
Who's more charismatic? Honestly, who's more charismatic? Who want to see people find more attractive? Like I'm just. That is what a lot of people will probably vote for.
Damn, that's mad, man. But yeah, so the individual powers and that we had a little bit more. You'd say more.
I'd say we definitely had more.
Right,
like
too.
back in the day, you had greater access to community leaders. You could do maybe more things with less resources.
Yeah.
Now, I think as an individual, of course, you can start a movement and that can become a massive wave, but it is much harder to enact like massive global or even higher community level change now than ever before. That wasn't me who came up with that quote. I'm getting heated questions on it. I don't know, but it sounded hot when they said it, and I was like, I'm gonna quote that. Yeah, I'm gonna quote that. Yeah.
It's interesting times that we're in there right now. Then but I mean, it is cool that it means that to enact things you have to come together collaboratively and actually form community around things. But it seems harder work.
It depends though.
Yeah.
Because like if you're trying to enact change in a system where people have been educated and maybe haven't been taught, say, about the history of their nation, and you have, the voter base are going to be like, oh, colonized, what? That wasn't that bad. Because if they're not taught about it, then when it comes to, say, voting whether we should do something, they're going to be like, nah, we shouldn't because they don't know. So it's like, yes, I want to bring people together, but you need to understand, it depends on where they're coming from in certain situations. But ultimately, I think it's dope that, like, people do vote.
I was going to say as well, I wonder how, I would like to think for the most part that because a lot of change and things have happened, in 1893 when we were allowed to vote, civil rights movement was happening in 1960s. We would like to think that we're progressing, right, as a human race, yeah? So in my mind, I'm like, ideally it means that generations of all these distressed communities and things like that are less exposed to the difficulties that the communities before them faced and things like that, right? So now it's interesting in a time like this where it's like you try to, let's say a lot of the things that have happened in history, you're very well versed in all these kind of things, and you try to enact change for particular communities, and then for them, they're like, oh, we actually don't see as much of
We don't
the
need this.
Yeah, like we don't see it as much of a serious situation as what you're presenting it. But we know that it's an issue, and we know that it's a spoken about thing. But then when people try to articulate the experiences of it, there's no one's actually being able to pinpoint examples of what certain certain issues are in their own experience.
I think I get.
So I'm saying
do you mean like in an international sense?
Not international. Okay, if I bring it down to maybe New Zealand, Australia, yeah. Right. Let's say we talk about me specifically. I'll talk about maybe the new generation of specifically Nigerian children in this situation. Yeah. I wonder how many of them, they know the word of racism or discrimination, and then you try to ask them, or you try to get them to articulate their experience of these things. And hopefully, ideally, because of a lot of the work that's been done, the more severe aspects of this is left the front of their face. Right. But then they actually can't articulate what it looks like in their own experience, because it's a lot more nuanced in some aspects of things. A lot more subtle, some of these things, some of these issues. A lot of things are accessibility issues now. And now you have a wealth of programs and a wealth of funding being just chucked, not necessarily created to the best, but money's been chucked into these types of communities or these spaces and stuff. And then you try to really speak or lobby for these groups, and all of them are like, no, man,
no, we're good.
All right, it's not as bad as you're making it sound. How do you fight for change or fight for these types of communities when not even the community themselves aren't necessarily the ones that are jumping on board or jumping behind? Our parents' generation, for one, are at least they were definitely not on any community, at least because they migrated. They weren't on no community activism or change. They were like, yo,
we're grateful.
We're grateful.
Survive.
We've made it here. We are grateful for what we've got. I am not pulling up to this rally. You know what I mean?
100, absolutely.
But I don't know, in a weird way, sometimes because I'm like, do you care?
For the parents?
Yeah. Because sometimes they're grateful, and then it's sometimes you find them pushing back on
some certain things.
What the kids are saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's wait a minute.
You meant be on our side. What's going on here?
Yeah. 100%. And a lot of times it's maybe because to them it's just so normalized. So it's why are you fighting for? That's just no.
And this is also another reality which I think doesn't get discussed enough. Is a lot of time, and I can only speak from the Middle Eastern experiences. home is actually a really bad place to live in. This is a significantly better place to live in. You know what I mean? And so it's like, as the kids of these people that made this massive jump and all this, now it's not that they didn't struggle with certain things or whatnot. Like, my dad, like when we were in America, like in the first week of my dad starting one of the jobs, one of the guys was like, oh, well, finds out he's Iraqi and he's like, oh, well, you guys deserve what's coming to you kind of thing, you know? Which is mad, yeah? But, like, and my dad was like, yo, like, that's wild, but I'm also not going to punch this guy in the face and lose my job, you know what I mean? So
Survival.
Exactly, right? But I think it kind of comes to this thing where it's like, well, yes, this part of the world is not perfect, but it is so much better than what we experienced. Being scared of our own presidents, being scared of our own, you know what I mean, our own leaders, so to speak, all that kind of stuff, which I imagine there's some similarities with a lot of like African parents as well, that as well, you know?
100%.
And so it's like, I feel like there's a level of gratitude where they're like, yeah, it's not perfect here, but
Better.
at least you can, as much as you can, carve out your own way. You know what I mean?
100%.
Which is kind of what they've done. And so like, I can see where they're like, I'm grateful for elements. Doesn't mean that's good. Like, doesn't mean that they're blind to things, but they're kind of like, okay, you want to go experience that instead?
100%.
You definitely don't, you know?
Yeah, no, because they're also their fight was so much. I would comfortably say so much more difficult than like our fight in terms of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So they're not really focused on like the nuances, and also in a lot of
100%.
cases they may not have like the language to express
Yeah.
that. They'll have
That is
feeling,
a massive aspect,
that
yeah.
feeling in their pit where where colleagues is like a microaggression. They're just
Yeah.
like,
They're like,
it's
that
just
felt good,
Jan
huh?
being like
It's
Jan,
just Jan.
and then you hear it and you're like, what? What did Jan just say? So they won't even
yeah.
know. And then like to your point as well, I would say it then also depends on who the country is, like who the country is better for. Because like for instance, for me, like for my family, from like moving from Zimbabwe to England to New Zealand, mostly I'll talk about the move to New Zealand. Like for us, it's been great. Like if we were living in Zim, it would have been tough. I spent 2 years of my life there. I honestly can't imagine like what that would be like. But then you've got to understand from like the colonization point of view, living in New Zealand ain't too crash hot for some like indigenous communities. So it's like it's
100%.
That dichotomy, man. Like, what is
like
going on?
Who is a bit for? But I think maybe in our cases, shit's pretty alright. You know, we've got things that we want to like improve upon, but we understand that it's like especially at this age, we understand that like our parents would have had it so much rougher, and that these young kids will have it so much nicer. So we are now the ones who are like, okay, we still need to, you know, you have the camps for a reason. While your parents might be like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was talking all my days. I was talking to my dad maybe yesterday. I just pulled up to the crib, and then I was just standing in the doorway of his office. We're just chit chatting. I was meant to do something, but everyone wasn't around, so I was like, oh, we're just chatting, whatever. He's like, yeah, what are you up to? I was like, oh, I was doing this today. I was doing this. I had a meeting for this. We're working on this. I'm like, yeah, we're trying to do like 2 more camps this year. You know, just sorting out funding, organizing. And he's like, oh, the camps. Yeah, I was like, yeah, the camps. And I could just see in his face that he's like,
for what?
He's like,
For
bro,
what?
what's this guy doing this stupid camps for? Yeah, better home. I could just see it in his face that, like, no, my dad believes in everything I do, but there's still
But
the
it's like-
convincing that is required. I could just see in his mind, like, the vision connection hadn't happened just yet. Like, he's probably thinking, for some part, in some other areas, I understand this, where it's like, okay, but what is it achieving? Like, I can get that, that,
Tangible, like,
you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, what are you achieving for these communities, for these kids, for these whatever? And like, in some other areas, I get that line of thinking as well. But I could just see it in his eyes. He's like, man, this guy in these camps again, man. Come again with these African Youth Alliance, bro. They're aligned.
not living?
You're aligned.
Yeah.
I don't.
Go, Nani.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I understand that kind of thinking, but at the same time, I don't. Because at the end of the day, it's like statistics may show young
You and your
Africans.
statistics.
No. Like,
bro.
I don't have statistics at the moment, but it's like young Africans.
There is a statistic out there.
Yeah, there is one out there that, you know, this number percentage of young Africans commit crime. You know what I mean? Like, it was ridiculous, especially during the Apex time as well, where it's like there's not that many Sudanese people over here, but just to see how many of them committed crimes, it was ridiculous, right? So I can kind of understand our parents saying, "What is this for?" But at the same time, it's like, at the end of the day, this is going to come back to our homes. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not saying your dad disagrees with the camp. Like, my dad was like, camps? Bro, what are you talking about? Right? But at the same time, it's like, if we do this, right, it's like you don't have to worry about your younger son having
100%,
to go off and do that.
Yeah, or someone's mom
Or
getting
someone's
the call.
mom getting a call. Because, you know, in the community, we've experienced that, where it's like someone's getting a call, this is what happened, right? So it's like when we do this kind of stuff, kind of comes back around again. in a way.
100%.
Yeah, so
I did not change the camera that whole time.
it's gonna look like I was talking the whole time or what?
You gonna say something?
Yeah, I was kind of gonna transition as well to a different topic, but I think part of it is like ultimately comes to like the whole thing maybe with our parents is that like for us they go, you guys have an opportunity to make change. We did not have an opportunity to make change, right? And
Yeah.
like I guess because I was thinking about war yesterday. Daniel and I went
My
paintballing.
days.
Yeah,
Bro,
Not that went paintballing, so I started thinking about war.
To be honest,
literally. Okay.
Correlation.
So I'll explain.
Hey, we live in God. We live in God.
we will have to dive proper into what we want to talk about. But start us off.
Because basically what
my
I'm trying to say is like when you come from a war-torn country, there is literally nothing you can do as an individual about that, right?
Right.
And
yes.
as a man as well from those countries, it's like you're just getting, I don't know what the setup is for most countries, but like for Iraq, it was like the worse you do in school, the closer you are to the front line, right? Pretty standard, right? Which, as wild as it sounds, I can
You see what they're trying to do. You see what they're trying to do.
It's like the weirdest, what's that thing when you weed out people? The
Natural selection.
No. the really messed up one, bro. It's a scientific thing.
Eugenics.
It's like the weirdest eugenics ever, right? But we went paintballing, and I'm like, people were actually going to war, like really going to war, walking out with their friends, and then copping bullets.
And we're excited. And we're like, I'm representing my country.
Okay, that's
That's
level
that's
of
another
wildness
level of
I'll never
crazy.
understand. And I think I've said this on here before. I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I would never let my children become soldiers ever. Like
There's no way.
there's nothing in my heart that's like it's so.
Would you let them become an engineer for the defense force?
bro? What are you defending?
I'm like, where's he going here? Who's he going to say, well...
No. There's no. That wasn't an alley-oop for a bad. It was just like
I love this
how
guy's reaction.
alive.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. Like, I
You just don't believe in
struggle
war.
with it. I really don't like the concept of war.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, I'm like, because we're playing paintball and it's like, you get hit in the head, you get hit in the neck. This guy copped a bad one.
Bro, I got a
Yeah.
strong one.
And you're like, you're like, shit. I caught one in the ass cheek, yeah? Stung like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, let me just walk it off.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
This guy caught one in the neck bad. And I was like,
don't know if they
in reality, people were just actually in war and their friend cops on the neck in front of them and just bloods everyone. They just keep fighting.
Going, yeah.
Got to, because otherwise you'll get in the next bullet.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the craziest thing. Like, how cheap is human life?
Bro, it's mad.
Like,
So-
just the number of people that would have just died.
oh, it's crazy, man. It is.
It's
It is
so
not.
wild.
The number doesn't make sense, and the action of it, and just the mindset that you have to get into when you're talking about people getting excited for
man,
it.
you brainwashed like
The
crazy.
brainwashing is mad. So we were doing this one where you have to there's like a ball, and what was it called? What they call it? Something hot potato.
Yeah, it was hot potato.
Team hot potato or something like that, whatever, right? The whole concept of the game or the premise is that there's a ball that starts off in a helicopter. We both start on separate sides. You run in, and the aim is that at the end of the time, so like 5 minutes, you don't want the ball to be on your half of the court or the pitch, the field. Sorry, the battlefield. You don't want the ball to be on your half of the battlefield. I remember I was talking to the ball. I was like, bro, what is this space called? Is it a court, a pitch? Or,
Field.
a field. So you don't want the ball on your half at the end of it, right? So we're playing the game, whatever. Our team, man, strong victories. We pretty much won every single game.
What? We were moving like England.
So
It's so crazy how you're like, you killed it. Or people would be like, if it was actual war.
yeah.
My goodness.
So I felt like a general. I mean, you giving some nice tips and but I was like, I just felt.
This guy was a child.
I was like, all right, so this is the game plan for this one. We're gonna hold off, let them get the ball to us. We hold it for the da. At the end, chuck it over Canada. I was like, yo, left flank, right flank, all these type of vibes. Second game plan, we're like, let's just rush them, cover ourselves. We was talking about what's that thing called when you shoot, not suppressive fire. What's the thing called? Cover me, just cover fire. People are providing cover fire while you're running. Da, da,
This
da.
guy learned all the terminology before going, bro.
I said, cover me, cover me. I said, shut up.
Hey, I was covering you, bro. Come on, man.
That would be hilarious. You're going to cover me.
Bro, I'm literally like, yeah, it's yellow paint, bro.
Hey, bro, but it hurt. Anyways, so the second time we did the ball game, yeah? Second time we did the ball game, it landed on their side, like early. I think I went in, I got to the middle, because that was our game plan. We're like, let's just rush it. I got to the middle, and then I got shot. Not obviously, but I got shot. And it's like, you have to put your hand up and respawn, yeah? But as I did that, I actually had knocked the helicopter, and the ball rolled, and because I didn't even know this happened, but the ball rolled and landed on their half. So I came back, and the ball was there on this. I said, yeah, we're winning this. This is when I realized that war is mad, yeah? So I'm there, I'm behind cover, and I'm lying down on the ground like a sniper. Proper, like, you were next to me, yeah, we're together. And, like, I was aiming down the scopes, and I was just aiming much. I could keep on hitting the ball. And anytime someone wanted to come, I just peppered them, yeah? And I was just like, and I'm copping it a couple of times, like, I could feel, like, the splatter happen, like, in my face. And I was just sitting there, I was like, this hurts a little bit, but if this was actual war, like, I would be dead. This is like, there's no fun in this. Like, in that moment, as I was doing that, I fully, like, it felt like a proper battlefield and everything. And I was like, this is fun. But then I realized, like, if this was genuine war, I would be dead right now. After that first shot I got at the helicopter, like, I'd actually be out of life. Not the game, not the round. Like, I'd be out of life. And I was like, this is not it.
There's no respawns, man.
This ain't it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I could see how the feeling of aiming at something and getting it, all of that, like, especially if you're doing it for your country or whatever, for your team, at least in our case, it felt like you're part of something or whatever. But the brainwashing of that must be like mental, man.
It's very weird. I think during World War II or One, obviously, one of them, they took like a break in between the fighting, like for like a day or two or something, right? And the soldiers from both sides just had a football match together.
Like,
together.
Yeah, they were just like it was on, I'm pretty sure it was like, let's just set up a football match. Like, it's weird. It's this weird thing where it's like, yo, we're
giving Carlos statistics
to
with this
kill each
interesting
other,
history fact here.
yeah, like we're here to kill each other, but
Nah, I've heard that before.
I feel like I've heard this too, but I'm like, now hearing it again, I'm like, this sounds a bit crazy.
it's very wild to go like, oh yeah, good match.
Anyway, see you tomorrow, man.
Do you guys consider yourselves patriotic? Whether to Australia or
Yeah, I was going to say to where.
Yeah.
Because to Australia, pretty much not at all. To Nigeria, patriotic, I wouldn't go to war for Nigeria.
I mean, that's quite a high bar. Quite a high bar. You can just, add a Nigerian flag to your Instagram bio. You know, like it's okay.
Yo, you know what I realized today as well?
Well, you did
my
Your
profile
photo,
pic,
bro. I've been meaning to tell you this. Change it, bro.
Still, from
SARS ended.
you know, there was a whole, like the end SARS movement still going on now pretty much as well. I changed my bio to a Nigerian flag, and I just realized today that I still haven't changed it. It's been maybe 2 years now? 2 years. Something like that. But then I deeped it. I was like, I enjoy this. I like this. Like, it's not a picture of me. It's just literally a Nigerian flag and some random painting, whatever. But back to your question about the patriotism. In recent years, and I was thinking about this myself as well. It's going to sound so bad when I say it out loud. But I was thinking about how Afrobeats has helped me to tap back into my language even more so.
That's dope. That is the purpose of music.
Mad.
Culture.
And I actually looked at it. I was like, I've actually been so much better at speaking my language because of Afrobeats and the interest it's allowed me to peak in my culture as well a lot more.
So dope.
Like, I've grown up Nigerian. My parents are both Nigerian. Like, we speak like Yoruba. I've been watching Nigerian movies. We eat Nigerian food. I've been around hella Nigerian people, but for me, it still doesn't feel like I know the culture as much, like, in all that time. Like, we've literally been around Nigerians, but like, if someone asks me something specific about like the country and what the culture looks like back there, all I've got for them is the memory of me and my dad jumping over a ditch. That's all I've got for them, right?
That's the culture.
That's the culture. Yeah, man. They wear nice long gowns over there. But that's all I've got for them, right? But then, yeah, because of Afrobeats more so, I've been like getting a bit more proud about Nigeria, knowing a lot more about whether it be football team, names of like historical people, some of the other like traditional like religions that exist within Yoruba culture, in a lot of them are very interesting. But a lot of those like cultures as well, definitely learning the language a little more. I was like, oh, I'm actually a little bit more, not a little bit more. I've always been proud of being Nigerian, but it's a little bit more of an awakening in terms of that aspect of things. But when you ask about patriotism, though, I would defend Nigerian jollof till kingdom come.
I was waiting. I was like, he's gonna say something about
I'll defend things like that, and I'll defend, Nigerian people and the culture. But the country itself is not necessarily something that I can be strongly proud of because of the state of the government affairs right now or something like that. The people, yes. But as a country, it's like, with the wealth of resources at the end, just the way that people are running it, and obviously what's happened in the past, it's like, there's no real sense of like, oh man, yeah, Nigeria. What's our phrase? Nigeria know the carry last. Like, I don't know, it's looking like we are carrying a bit of last right now with the way the country's been run and things like that. But I don't know, man. Yeah, it's definitely not an Australia patriotism. But definitely more proud of the Nigerian side of things. Yeah.
How about you guys?
What would I say? I think I'm definitely one that's into my culture. So I'm Sudanese, if you didn't know. In terms of like, definitely wouldn't go to war for Sudan. Not that they're asking me anyways.
They're not gonna ask you.
Not that they're asking me anyways. I know.
With the spray shots.
This guy.
Friendly fire.
She took out more Sudanese.
Number one assassin on the wrong side.
Oh my God, on the wrong side. He did.
I think it's definitely similar to Daniel in terms of like, the state of the state of Sudan and everything and just how it's going. It's like you don't necessarily I don't have it in me to be like, oh, I'm so proud of my people. I'm so proud of, the people in power. I'm so proud of like, how everything is going and stuff. But ultimately, I do always go back to like, I am Sudanese. Those are my roots, I will defend it whenever someone says something about it. In terms of culture, I might not agree to it or agree with it all, but I do understand. And that's something that like, if someone wants to debate me on, like we can debate and I'll tell you, why those things are foundational, why, it's needed and stuff. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, I don't know if I think, I mean, I love my place. I love my people and all, but yeah. In the terms of Australia, I am Australian. I love to be Australian.
Yo, she's trying to stay here, man.
That was like,
I'm trying to hold my place. I'm trying to hold my place. I think I do rep. I rep both places definitely till the day I die. But yeah.
See the green and gold right here?
Yeah. Come on.
For me, I think because I moved around so much, like even this one's like, I'm born there, but it's like, I don't really connect with much. I don't know much. Iraq is like, whenever people go, where you from? I always say Iraq, because both my parents are, and that's the only culture that I really grew up with. But I think it's similar to everyone's. I love the people, I love the history, because Iraq's got a crazy history, just globally. But and like everything that comes out of it, food, all that stuff. But I hate the shenanigans. Like the government is just not for the people.
I love it. Shenanigans.
It's just not for the people. You know what I mean? Like
definitely.
when you really like look at everything, it's like, I don't know. I would love to go back. I genuinely me and my dad have been talking like he hates the idea of going back just because he's like, I've seen it all, but he's like, for you, I'll do a trip with you so I can take you around, But there's also that aspect like, I'd love to go back, but I'd love to come back here.
Let him back.
Yeah. How do you feel about Carl's?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I think we're all the same when it comes to this stuff. I think we all love our culture. I like the food. I'm Sudanese as well, by the way. I don't know if we can fight for them. I don't know, man.
Fighting is crazy. Like you're literally signed up to potentially die.
Yeah,
Likely. I don't know. With our skills, I'm guessing it's probably
Front of the line.
Fam, I am chef,
front
bro.
of the line, bro. Like I don't know how I feel about front of the line. You know what I mean? Nah, it's actually kind of scary if you think about it, bro. Like
kitchen staff, bro. Put me on kitchen staff.
I'll whip up a mean mash for y'all, man, because that's an easy munch.
Nah, to be honest,
You work in media, so you'd be.
What, the army jester?
You would be telling the country, we're so good, everybody should fight for the country. You would be on the propaganda. You would literally be on the propaganda.
I'm just sending millions of people to their death.
We need you.
No, exactly. So you're all right. You're all good.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about Zimbabwe? Or is it New Zealand?
Or is it England? Mad thing.
Yeah, been around. Yeah, my parents have moved. I think similar to all of you. Yeah. Like I'm patriotic about Zimbabwe. I don't really have much of a connection to the country myself, but I will still forever say I am Zimbabwean. And I think it's interesting when you look at it from, like, as you said, when people ask you where you're from, you'll say Iraq. Now, when people are generally asking where you're from, especially if you're black in a white space, they're asking because they want to be like, why are you here? Like, how did you
end up here?
So even if say, for example, if I have kids with a black woman and they end up being black and they say live in New Zealand their entire life.
No, hopefully
and they live in New Zealand their entire life, regardless of whether they would feel like a New Zealander, because the fact that they always look different, they will perpetually be asked why. And when they say New Zealand, it's like, oh, okay. So it's like,
wait, what's the face?
I always say this. Like, I struggle with that because, like, for me, it's genuinely one of the most exciting things is finding out what's the differences between us in a good way.
Oh, yeah, no one's saying the problem with the question. No
Like,
one's saying there's the problem
when
with
it
the
comes
question.
from the wrong person with the wrong intention,
You can
I
tell.
think for me, it's just hard to always assume people's intention because I normally, like, I want to know. Like, if I ask someone and it's like they're, visibly Asian, it's like, all right, I'm Australian too. Like, we're both Australian. That's cool. But now let's get to the exciting part. You know what I mean? That's my approach.
But there's a way, as you say, there's a way of asking it, and you can tell depending on the type of like, if it's generally from like somebody who, honestly, if it's probably from somebody who, and we have like Pākehā as a term. If it's from somebody who probably isn't perceiving as like white, I'll be like, they're maybe trying to find like a common, oh cool, did it? Versus sometimes when it's like your 50-year-old colleague from work who you never speak to, it's just like, you don't know my name.
From what?
No. You don't know my name.
It's even the way they ask.
You don't know my name.
Hey, you. So where you from? You never told me.
You never told me, as though it's like a must-find.
Getting G-checked.
Like, you see? Like, that you never told me. Oh, so it really depends on how people are
how you
asking.
ask,
But I'm not going to
for
war.
sure.
I'm not going to war full stop. There's just no way.
I remember.
I'll fight for myself. Before I fight for a country.
I remember when it was
Screaming,
yo,
bro.
what was it? The start of when was the start of the whole like
World War III thing?
yeah
2021.
Start of COVID.
The
That's
recruiting.
2021?
what with the whole
when they
Capitol
were
riots.
Capitol.
That was,
And then there were talks about like it looks like there might be a mass.
Recruiting
Iran
people.
was going
Just a
crazy.
big it looks like we might
oh,
actually have
there
to.
was a time where I was like, yo, this, and I was like,
We might end be enlisting.
Can we just
I remember it was
Bro.
Jan 3rd that Iran was going crazy. We were like, bro, it's 3 days in.
Yeah.
What happened?
Can we chill? Like, no one
Bro,
likes war.
let's
Like,
spell
remember, no
team,
one likes
guys.
We all
Come back
agree that
together.
we don't like war.
Bro.
Yeah.
But literally, I was thinking about at that time, and I was like, "Fam, I'm not going. Like, I'm gonna hide. There's no way you can convince
That's not
me.
how,
You're not
Good.
convinced
that's
me.
not how inscription works, man. You
Yo.
can't just be like, nah, fam, I did not get the letter. I did not
Yeah, no, because I was planning on like just seen unseen it, and then just go under the radar for a bit. Like,
Would
and
you go back to Nigeria?
bro,
Because it's like potentially where we're from are less likely to be involved in that.
Yeah,
So it might
but-
be safer to just take the next,
absolutely.
like, to just be like, yo, fam, see you in a bit.
I reckon no one's asking anyone from Tasmania to join the smoke. So I'm trying to go to Tasmania.
What? Yeah, I would find every loophole to avoid it.
Yeah,
Like,
What
you
if
know,
what if
if
you were
I have to.
guaranteed you'd come back alive?
Who told you that?
Yeah, but I
way-
don't want to see all that.
The only way
stuff.
guarantee is if you work in the kitchen or something. Bro.
It's the PTSD though.
Yeah.
Like the,
Yeah,
Because if you guarantee
exactly
Comes back,
you'll
man.
survive, all your homies,
Yeah.
your bro gets
Yeah.
shot in front of you. You think you're going to come back,
That's a
just
lot.
step back in the studio. So on episode 189, like, what?
That's
true.
fine. There's an older lady at our church. I remember talking to her father was in the World Wars, and his job was like, I don't know the actual terms, but he was a finisher basically. He would go to the field after most bodies have dropped, and he just start like basically headshotting everyone to make sure everyone's dead. Right?
When I found out that was a thing, I was like, that's ruined all my plans that I've ever
fake
had.
Yeah.
Because
Bro.
I was like, I mean, I'd always think like, if I was in World Wars, I would just play dead.
yeah,
same.
like I saw a bear or something. Yeah.
I would run out.
Yeah,
I would put
Alright,
your
we
body
good. We
on top.
vibe. We love.
Yeah, put a body on top of yours or something
Yeah.
like that and just vibe out for like 3 days or whatever. But then when I found out that there's people that go around,
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
But she was
That's
saying
what
like
they do,
the PTSD of her dad. Like she said, he never spoke of the wars. Like never ever. Like till the day he died, like he just refused to ever talk about any aspect of the war.
Going to war.
Don't do
It's
it.
just like not happening. Like
Yeah.
as you said, that I would every loophole. every
Is there a
loophole.
loophole there?
You're not taking woman? Me? She, her. She,
I said to try and get out of this, man.
This guy said she. Yeah.
Bro,
Now this guy needs to get locked up.
No, he prefer getting locked up than being enlisted,
Yeah,
anyways.
ridiculous.
Hey, that's what. Yeah.
Bro, what? 3 squares meals a day.
Bro, PlayStation.
You
PlayStation.
don't commit a crime now just to get locked up.
Absolutely.
Yikes.
Nah, to be honest, if they need to pick someone, it makes more sense to go to the people who are locked up.
No.
I am
What?
not
And
gonna
then
allow
I
you
can't
to-
endorse this message. And then they run back at the courthouse. Hey, free me, free me, free me.
There's no way I'm allowing you to say that people who go to prison. Which,
Yeah,
hey,
man.
you
I
know-
know. I can endorse this.
Because that's a loophole,
Bro,
right?
this is a father of eugenics right here,
What
man.
what would be interesting? Stick with me for
Children
Run with it.
only.
What'd you say?
I don't know.
Close. Nah, and because going to prison
Yes.
is horrible.
Yes.
It's just like it would be interesting for the feeling of freedom. For some people, would the option of going to war
Appeal.
appeal?
I think
If you're on like a life
I
sentence,
think it depends.
Yeah, life sentence.
Oh, life
If you're
sentence,
doing a life
yeah.
sentence.
But I don't know if you go to war and you survive, you're out on the streets. Like we need to work through the
Yeah,
details.
yeah.
Details of this,
We
right?
need to work through the
Yeah.
details.
Okay.
But, like,
Because ain't no way you're gonna sign up for the deal if it's like you fight for your country,
And then you get
kill it,
back.
you win, and then it's like, all right, buddy, you got another 2 life counts.
But then the thing is, would
Right.
you? I guess it's just like how they would feel about like being institutionalized, because
Yeah.
maybe the sense of freedom that you have
It's
and
different.
autonomy over your life in that sense. Because if you're in prison, you're probably not having a lot of autonomy.
Yeah.
That would be something. I don't know. I'm not saying we should enact this as a, hey, offer it to them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you
But it's
can
an
say-
interesting conversation.
But
I
it's
guess.
like
That is great, yeah.
That autonomy aspect is something. I mean, it's a hard conversation to have about. Institution. Someone help me out here.
being institutionalized.
Being institutionalized. Why
I just said-
I
I just said
struggle with it?
I just said it quickly, bro. I didn't say it right.
You have to
I
get
just-
into it.
Hope for the best.
It was the confidence. It was the confidence. I remember I was thinking about it one day as well. Of like, yeah, the fact that someone dictates the timings of everything, the daylight amount of time. It's like how much time you're allowed to spend in the sun or in the outdoors. And I realized like when we had that during like lockdowns and stuff,
Yeah.
people were losing their minds that we couldn't step outside or go for a walk. I was like, damn, this is what every day is.
That's how it is.
And a million times.
Lunchtime is
Yeah.
over.
And a million
In
times.
the yo,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was so another conversation to have, but yeah, when I looked into that, I was just like, man, it's a wild experience for a human to have. Yeah. Like when you think about that, the fact that it's the same human mind going through that kind of an experience, it's actually very, very, very wild when you deep it. Like, you know,
Well, I guess that's why prison isn't an
It's not
option.
meant
It's
to
a
be.
consequence.
Yeah, it's not- yeah.
I mean,
It's a consequence for.
but
you
then
know,
it's like, is
bad
it
behavior,
achieving
so-
reform, which is what is it in quote
what
unquote
it's-
meant
yeah.
to be doing?
I think a simple answer would be no.
Yeah. So it's control ultimately at the end of the day. I want to ask a question though, man. Pivoting to all of you, all pivoting from a lot of these war conversations, but in a more towards this whole I guess new life that we've found in these new countries and things like that.
Right.
Why do you guys? Let me actually word this how I wrote this down. Why do you guys, if this is what you guys want to do, why do you guys want money or want to make money? And why also do you want to be successful? Sorry, it hit you. Yeah,
No, that's a good question.
Why do we want money?
Or why do you guys want to be successful? Like what is it? Like when you think of, this is why, like what even comes to mind? Especially the money one, because I'm interested to see what you're got in the idea.
Money is definitely freedom. That's always how I've seen it. Like,
In what context?
move how you want.
The freedom
Why
to
would you
have or
want-
do whatever
like-
you want. Yeah.
Without really.
Okay, because like there's levels of money now as well. Then, so when you say freedom and buy what you want, there's obviously still a
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're talking like billionaires. That's a different
Yeah.
level of that's beyond freedom. But it's like I think just being at what I would perceive as a healthy level, or like not even healthy, like a super relaxed level. That just allows me all the time I want with family, the ability to do things that I want to do, the ability to input into things that I see that are worth inputting into as well. Like, yeah, I feel like
got the follow up question, but I want to keep hearing some more and see if there's a commonality, and then I can see if I can ask the follow up.
Now, yeah, very similar. I mean, I think there's definitely an element of freedom as well. And like buying stuff without really having to worry about it. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes like, let me check if it's within my budget on that kind of vibe, right? It's like I don't have to check if it's within my budget, right? I can actually just kind of get it without having to worry too much about it. Future, when you have kids, it's like putting them in the best schools. If those expensive or not, I don't have to worry about that as well. Experiences as well. You know, all these programs cost money, yeah? You know what I mean? So it's like, I got the money to be able to actually do all this. So, yeah. And inflation. I don't know.
Inflation, right?
I think, to add on, it's definitely just having the life that you desire, you know, not having those limitations to it, but also being able to help people beyond just yourself and your family. So having money, I'd be able to, you know, if someone does come to you or if you see a community that's in need, it's like without blinking an eye, it's like, okay, I can do this because it's not going to affect me in any type of way. So I think having money, you know, whatever amount that is, I think, that's what it brings, all of those different things.
So to also add on that as well, I really like the helping other people as well. Because last week I went to like a startup. So people just go up and pitch their ideas, and there's investors there. And then obviously they pick the best idea and actually they invest in that. And I was straight away messaged the group and I was like, yo, this is actually dope idea. I think we should implement something like this in the future. But yeah, I started thinking about it. I think it's dope. You know, my friends got some really good ideas. Obviously, capital and money and all that stuff's not there. But it'd be dope if money, to answer your question, to be able to invest in people's ideas.
I like pretty things. I want to have a nice life.
Yeah.
It's opportunities. It gives you access. It gives you stability. It gives you opportunities, as I said, to a life you may want to lead. It's not the be-all and end-all. People say more money, more problems. I agree to more money, different problems.
More champagne problems.
Different, yeah, absolutely. And then of course
problems.
you
I
have
like
maybe
that.
like family hitting you up, and like that's a whole, you know, not being able to trust people, you know, and even when you don't have money, you may have family.
I don't trust people already.
You know, especially if you don't necessarily live in the country that you're from. Like with us, right? Like my parents have been hit up for money from like their relatives. It's a common story.
I think everyone's
They're not
balling
special.
here.
they're not special in that regard, you know. But it's like, like I think just opportunities not only for yourself but for the people around you, comfort.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm interested about is like, one, do we think that the path that we're on, or like for you guys, is what is going to take you to that point or to that thing? Like wholeheartedly, do you believe that the path that you're walking on takes you to that? But also, do you think that all those things can be achieved without having to chase the money that success brings? If that makes sense.
I would probably say that we are, given that we're in this room, we are not taking the easiest path in life. Because being a creative is not easy. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of idea generation. And without even knowing any of your maybe university backgrounds or whatever, like in that sense, I imagine there are probably easier pathways that you could have gone to in life to get to some form of comfort, but isn't satisfying, isn't what you want to achieve in life. Because this is not like easy at all.
But it's fun.
It's fun.
It's not easy, but it's like,
and that's why you do it, because of this. Because you know, you start out, you're not making any money at all. You're spending money. It's tough.
$7,
no
man.
one's like it. Hey, I mean,
And speak for yourself.
You're right.
I'm good over there.
My
I'm
bad,
good.
big ballers. I can't wait for that limo ride
Come
home.
on now.
Yeah, like it's, you know, being a creative is like, it can be very isolating. You've got to, as we said, a level of delusion. You know, when you post and you get like 3 likes.
Yeah.
When you get 3 likes and you have 5 homies who normally like them. And it's just like, we're going to do another episode. It's you, like, what? Like,
Those
what
early
is
days
telling
are
you-
hard.
Those early days
those
are
other
so
days are
big.
hard. Yeah.
Loki, one thing that I'm glad has stopped is no one asks me anymore, how's your little podcast? Nowadays it's how's your podcast?
So we are.
like-
You up. You up.
What an insult.
That
missed that
one
one.
hurt.
What was the moment where they realized you up?
Honestly, I think it's recently. Everyone always comes up to us and they're like, "You guys are always on my TikTok."
Interesting.
I think the TikTok
Like,
element,
because we were getting love, like when we'd go out and stuff, like, "Oh, I like the podcast, I like what you guys are doing." But when it became like, you guys are just in my face, as opposed to, "Oh, I know you guys do this," but it's like, "Nah, you guys are just in my face." It's like, thank you.
As we should be.
That's what we're
That's
trying
the
to do.
plan.
Your
I think
algorithm
it was
is
TikTok,
obeying. Yeah, good. Yeah,
Interesting.
okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I would say pinpointing it directly to some of those interviews that we did with the international faces. Like people, I mean, you now.
Y'all are welcome.
Yeah.
You up? Yeah.
Send us the invoice afterwards, you know what I mean? But yeah, like the Coolio, Rema, Ruga, those kind of vibes, like that stuff was bound. Oh, and then also seeing us do videography interviews at all these other events, like just popping up all the time. That people are like, oh, they're active, they're moving. You know, it's a perception thing for the most part. With all this stuff.
So much.
A lot of it is
Everything
perception,
is
100%. Because at the end of the day, you look at the bank account for the thing, it's $7.
You're still hitting up the chat. Yo, hey, we got to buy this. Split it 4 ways.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But they think that you big time.
Yeah.
Like people are gonna read international guests, depending on whether you put in the title or whatever, and think, oh, you got it, and they're not gonna know that it's
gonna
like,
know.
I reached out to you and I was like, I'm in this. Like I could just like I voice messaged you and said, yo, I could come through. Like,
Can I come through?
I would love to come on the pod.
Nah, yeah.
Like I met you 2 days ago, but they'll be like,
No, for sure.
yo, and I actually can't wait for that moment to happen because then you're gonna think back to me saying it now and being like, this
This is it. This is it.
He's not even like he was
Yeah.
here
It's all
for
perception,
this,
bro.
like, yeah.
You're
But
right.
that's what I was asking you guys. Like, yeah, all the stuff that we're trying to, perception, but like, okay, finally actually get into these positions or these places. Yeah, you feel like you're trekking along the path that takes
I don't know a different path.
Right.
That's what I was. I don't know a different path. now.
Nice.
Like this is the only one that makes sense or aligns with what you feel you can achieve.
Look, like, I mean, I've been having this conversation with people as well, where I'm like, the creative lanes. I think it's a healthy thing for people in general if they desire it to have a creative outlet. But I think especially where, like I would say everyone in this room is in the position where it's like, okay, if you guys don't do life well, the next generation is going to suffer for you. You don't get to just, your next generation isn't going to live well by default, regardless of what you do, right?
Break it
There's
down a
people
little bit further.
Well, what I mean is, like, let's say the kids of someone who lives in Turak, right, which is like one of the most affluent suburbs here, whether they decide to become, a graphic designer, a doctor, or I don't know, or like they're just like, oh, I really like working at Macca's, right? Their next generation is still going to be fine, regardless, right? Yep. For us, and like, yeah, it's actually my dad's always on my ass about this. He's like, you actually need to put in the work because like nothing's guaranteed for your next generation, right? Yeah. That's where I'm like, with the whole creative outlets, it's like, it's good, it's healthy, all that. But then I think for all of us, it's like, and this is what all 4 of us are doing, at least, it's like, we're also pushing on in terms of, we've got like corporate or professional careers, And so it's like, that is pushing that lane, I guess. Yeah. And then also the creative lane. And eventually, hopefully, the aim is we jump into this one fully. This makes money, all that. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful life. You're right. It's not easy, but long term, it's so much easier than
that. Yeah.
Not. You know what I mean? If it works out. So in terms of lane, I don't know a different lane anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? All I know is make websites and graphics and do this podcast thing. Yeah. Like I couldn't jump into something. If you were like right now, you know what? It would actually make you would achieve this thing better if you did accounting. I'm not gonna go back and study anything. Like I'm put my head down and just keep working. Yeah.
I'm not going to war. I'm not becoming.
That's the two. That's the only fans convince me.
Send me a bag.
We can have a conversation.
His toes are polished.
Bro, man's got the color for the season as well. Come on, ounce. Yeah, all right. So not knowing any other lane. Interesting. Okay, yeah. I mean, because sometimes I look at it and I'm like, the hope is for these things to fuse into one, or one thing to be able to so many fruits coming from that, and it supports everything. But it's like, you're right. It's a massive gamble ultimately. And then I started deepening. And I was thinking like, so I do like some videography stuff. I'm not a videographer. I'm a guy with a camera. I always tell people this, but people hit me up to do video.
Why is that? You don't like the label videographer?
No. I just don't know how to shoot videos that great. Yeah, like I'm still learning.
You don't want them to sit there.
I'm genuinely still learning, but people keep on bringing opportunities to film stuff. I'm like, okay,
bro, I'm going to squander your wedding.
That's why I never.
Shit, they're kissing.
I never.
Bro, I love these
I never
guys.
even try to charge. Like most things I do, like I genuinely. No, let me not put this out there. Never mind.
Bro, I remember we shot some couple of weeks ago, and then so I was taking photos, he was taking a video.
Oh, long day, yeah. I know you, man.
Well, actually,
Long, tough.
I know you, man.
but do you want to say the story?
Yeah, may as well.
Because he's watching this.
May as well.
Hey, bro, you opened it up.
Nah, it was just the funniest thing. Like, I look at this camera, it's like, yeah, I know it's trash. Like,
I was pretty much like,
he
because
was
my head
he was
wasn't
like-
in the shoot.
he was like, this.
But I was also like, I was just looking at, I was telling bro, don't even wait
He's
for
like-
the video for this, man. Like, don't
he said this video is horrible.
I can already tell. I said, I haven't even looked at my clips. I can just tell this video's going to be
Bro,
bad.
you know when Daniel came out the car? The weather's not very good. That's how I knew. I was like, yeah, this man is a guy with a camera.
Right. Hey, but the video turned out right. The video actually turned out nice, man. But I was like,
it was the
that's
funniest
not
thing.
it, man. This is not it.
Because I would say, like, you don't want to limit yourself by not labeling yourself. Because, like, then at what point are you going to call yourself a videographer?
Yeah, it's mad because something I always say is as soon as you start calling yourself something, I've said this before many times, people start calling you that thing as well. Podcaster, people start calling me a podcaster. Content creator, whatever that is for
Whatever
them.
that is.
People will call me a content creator because I was calling myself that. The Instagram business thing, I've always tried to struggle with what to put in there because I'm like,
What's your current one?
Big Daddy.
what did you say, Big Daddy?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mine's restaurant.
Restaurant? Yeah. So I was like, do I go down the lane of just like clearly not doing one that I'm not a restaurant? Or do I just
No,
put it
factory.
in? You know, like right now it says digital creator. I saw someone have that, and I was like, that's the closest thing to creating digital content. But I'm like, I don't want to put content creator in there.
Why is that?
Like, I just,
The connotations of content creator, you don't like them?
it's not necessarily the connotations. It's maybe that I haven't called myself that yet fully. Like I've said it in spaces where it required it being that.
Like when you introduce,
You know what I mean? And it leads to now a conversation or an opportunity or whatever. But then it's like if someone were to ask me, or are you? I mean, I had to do a bio 2 months ago. I had to write a bio for something, for a panel talk. And then I think I did put content creator in that, but obviously because it was a bit of a creative space.
Born and bred?
Nah, it was what was it?
our
Between
friend
Us.
Ivy's thing.
Yeah,
Between
it
Us,
was
yeah.
between us like a
Art gallery.
panel. Yeah, it was had a shadow art gallery, but then it was like a panel that was basically the whole gallery was about friendship, dope.
Platonic
ass.
friendship.
Yeah, just straight relationships, but friendships.
Yeah.
So no romantic, because we're also about romantic relationships, all that kind of stuff. Very very dope, super dope stuff. But then we had to write a bio for that, and I think I was writing something about. I'm very passionate about content and community, and I was like, "Are those the two things? Are those my lanes?" I was like, "Is this what Is this where I'm at? Like, if someone now asks me and I introduce myself, is this where I'm at? And do I think that this is what is taking me to that point that I want to get to?" I'm like, I guess I have to, man. At this point, like, what else am I gonna try and like pivot to now or change into? But I was even deeping in and thinking about. I was like, yo, is there gonna come a point? Maybe I don't know what, like 29, where I'm like, man, I think this accounting thing.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Why have you been
Sold out.
why have you
Not
been
bad.
fighting it all this time? I'm like, I hope that's not a point. Like, I would hope that what I think I'm at right now is what's gonna be the lanes that I keep pushing in. But who knows if it's like, 29? I'm like, yo, man, nah, that accounting bag. That's let me go back do these Udemy courses and suss out accounting now or something, man. But I don't know, man.
I admire those people that like at 40 or something
Make the change?
You remember like the mature age students at uni and all
Yeah.
that. Like I admire it in a sense. Also, those people asked questions because they knew how expensive uni really was.
Yeah, they
The rest of us were like
eh,
3,000 a unit.
Yeah.
Now you look at it, 3,000 a unit.
crazy.
Yeah. But I admire it, but at the same time, I feel like it must be super. If you're not doing it out of like the luxury of freedom or money or whatever, it's like must be a really confusing thing to go through. It's like, man, do I just keep grinding this out or do I risk it and try to learn something new at this advanced age? All that. That's why I'm like, part of me is like, I hope I never have to hit that point. But I also do hope I get to that point where it's like just out of sheer interest, I'm like, yo, let me see if I can pivot. You know what I mean? But because I'm comfortable.
Okay, right.
That's
You know
how
what I
much
mean?
money
Not
those
'cause-
go.
Yeah, that's how much money. That's that flexibility.
Yeah,
man,
that
that's called.
flexibility.
That's what you want.
That's that I'm studying accounting because I like accounting.
And you got time for it.
Yeah. Let me make these statements balance.
You get it? Yeah, bounced. What did you study in uni? Did you go
So
to
I
uni?
studied, I went to the University of Auckland, so I studied commerce and science. So my majors were finance, stats, and eco.
Where's the science?
Statistics is a science at the University.
Oh,
of
right,
Auckland,
right,
but
right, right,
different
right.
unis will call it So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
so I studied that. Then I worked at Deloitte as a consultant for 2 years. So like I was interested in So have you always known this is going to be your lane? Or have you had previous lifetimes where you're like, oh, I'm going to maybe stick to the website design thing that you were saying about before? Because like for me, it was like, I was...
That looked like the lane?
9 till 5. Well, a lot more hours than 9 till
So
5.
sorry.
But there was a lane
Yeah.
that was kind of like predetermined. Like the school that I went to,
Yeah.
the people there generally go to university. They
Yeah.
generally study these things. They
Yeah.
go into these big corporates. Like I was definitely following like a template that was predetermined for me to do.
Yeah. At the time, did that feel correct? Like, did it feel more like it was you didn't know any better, or did it also have some kind of fulfilling aspects to it as well?
Honestly, it was partially fulfilling because
right.
for my parents it was. Because
Okay.
like you say Deloitte, they're like, oh yeah, they know where the building is. There's Deloitte in Zimbabwe. So they can tell in the WhatsApp group chat. Like they can say, oh, my son is working here.
easy to be
it's
proud
like,
of.
It's
Yeah.
easy for them to be proud of. And then there was a moment where I was like, I'm just not doing this anymore. I just actually just can't take it. And then I put more of my effort and time into being a
How'd
creative.
they take that?
How
did they take that, parents?
Not great.
They don't know yet.
They also, like, can
He's
you
in Melbourne
imagine-
on a business trip.
Can you imagine telling them, yeah, I want to like kind of interview people and like kind of, you know, talk about random stuff, like talk about the idea that I don't want to go to war and that, and you know, and do this community stuff on the side and I'll make enough money, but no, I want to make lots of money from that and then I'll be good, you'll be good. I want to buy mama a house that like just imagine they did, but to be fair, I did it in a really bad way. Like I told my mum I was gonna quit my job, like just over text randomly. Like after I hopped out the shower and I was like, I'm just can't do this anymore. I said, hey mum, I'm gonna quit like on Friday.
That's mad.
That was great, mum. I'm sorry. I've apologized to her because that was not wise. And then I did quit eventually, but it was like after a bit more time and after reasoning with her. But yeah, that was not. Don't do that. She did not deserve that.
How are you finding the creative space now?
I think that we are in a very exciting time in the region that we're in of the world in terms of like people of color and being creatives. Like I really feel as though UK and the US leading the way in terms of like just like creatives doing videography, doing music, doing everything. And we're at like a really exciting point where I think people are going to take notice. There's going to be more money. There's going to be more opportunities over the next year to 5 years. So it's like, honestly, really exciting. I mean, think about it. I'm from New Zealand on a podcast with other people of color and we're having a conversation. We're talking about, you know, $7.50 on AdSense. Like, think 2 years ago. Like that, you're now making like a bit of dough. And like, I'm not trying to get into your finances, into your back pockets, you know, but it's like, like with the stuff that we're doing, we have a Patreon. So we have like,
Yeah, I saw that. That was
we have
sick.
like 70 people when we're making X amount of dollars.
That changes. That's a lot.
That's
a lot.
actually like
I saw that. Yeah, I saw you had the Patreon. I was like, I genuinely asked myself, like, I wonder how many members.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have
Part of
like
this.
That's pretty sick.
it fluctuates and cards decline or whatever. But I think like we have about steady state of like 70 like
That's
patrons.
crazy.
70?
Like I think probably
Wow.
50 of them
Hey,
are in like New Zealand.
Oh, bro,
And
that's
then-
good,
that's-
bro.
that's actually-
Hey,
that's
appreciate
what's
it.
up, bro.
And then I think like 20 of them probably like around the country.
what does
or
that start at?
whatever,
Like
but-
$5 a month? Or?
hey
I
man,
think
don't
our
get to the monies, man. Don't be trying to.
No, this is public
Because that stuff's all available publicly. that's why.
Patreon.com/unpack and then also patreon.com/PHD
You said the double page.
Yeah.
What?
Because we've got two podcasts, two
Yeah.
Patreons.
That's
So
sick.
for one of them, the main one that we have, like the 80 patrons, I think it starts at like $5 a month. And then I think the top one is like 15. But there are so many different models.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
like we do different types of episodes,
Wow.
Right.
different content.
Yeah.
We have made it difficult for ourselves and complex for ourselves. If I was to start again, so different.
Right.
Which,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure,
yeah, yeah.
which I'm sure like you can say. about
Everyone
that.
has that. If I started again, I would
Oh,
do things different.
honestly, if I started again, I'd be big time already. Like, if I knew, if I
Nah,
knew
there's
it-
definitely a map.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Hindsight is 2020, man.
Like, but with having that, it's just like, okay, we're doing this now, and I've been kind of like focusing creatively on stuff for like 2 and a bit years, 3 years. Bro, give me 5 more. What's it gonna look like then? Because when you look at all your favorite creatives, your favorite artists, whatever, they're like, yeah, bro, I've been doing this for like 10 years, and it's like I've been doing this for 3. I don't know how long you guys have been doing this, but it's like just give you time, consistency. Episode 180, like that's great. It's time. So when I say it's a matter of when and not if, it's a matter of when and
I
not
like
if.
that. Yeah. looking at it in that kind of perspective.
Delusional.
I love hearing stuff like that.
I think we've talked about this before. It's like there has to be a level of being delusional or like self-obsessed to do this.
Like
You know,
100%. Like I believe, as we said, that my opinions are worth people paying for. That's
Paying for is the matter.
crazy.
Yeah, like
Cost of living inflation. It's like, nah, fam. So $5 a month, you get additional bonus content. It's like,
You
what?
mean more nonsense talk? Yeah, give me that.
You know?
Bro,
And
that's
it's
smart.
like, you have to be some form of delusion.
Yeah,
It's like,
nah, that's your
obviously-
value, man.
I obviously do believe in the stuff that we.
Sometimes it's crazy to think like people actually paying for your content. Like, do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, because it's like they're paying for things that just come out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
like
just
legit, yeah.
thinking, I'm taking in all this information from the world,
And then just
I'm
communicating
regurgitating it, and people are like, yeah, that's
That's
great.
it, that's the
I'm gonna pay
one.
for that, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's actually so funny
Are you,
because every time I
are you more cautious with what you say because you know people are like paying for it now?
But they know what they're paying for, I think. Was
they know,
the
but
difference.
They know already.
yes, I think as you just become bigger,
Yeah.
you have to be
aware.
aware of what you say, and because the show that we have is like kind of based in like some aspects like historical like analysis, like you need to fact check and double fact check, and then we're flipping our content to more like conversational similar to this. Like we've been talking about what love means to us, what does masculinity mean to us, like, and different things like that, which is incredible conversation. But it's like you can't really. I mean, you can definitely cancel me for a take if I say that, but if I just say something factually incorrect, it's like misinformation.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
What if, like, I don't
And saying it as fact as well. Yeah.
with the confidence that I have, which is too much.
AKB.
175,000 deaths in Western Australia.
You know,
Yeah.
so it definitely, as we grow, I think about, but then it's also just a case of, I don't know, going from like a marketing POV. The people who are going to like your stuff are going to like your stuff. So you just got to get deep into it.
Yeah.
The people on the peripheries who are like, oh, if I say that, they might get offended. They weren't going to like you to begin with.
But I always thought about this. I'm like, okay, a lot of people that get on Patreon, for the most part, a lot of them, okay, so one, there's the providing extra content, exclusive content to get money, but some use that as the outlet to be not flagrant, but not necessarily because of just being rude sake, but it's like the unfiltered self that other people are still gravitating to the conversation, right? And I'm like, bro, can't the ops just pay for the Patreon and check out the content and then expose you in public as well? I'm like, there's a security wall behind these money.
But if someone
things.
was really praying for your downfall enough to subscribe and then out you, that's crazy. Like, you must have done them so
dirty.
And if so, if you're going to go down like that, hey, you paid for a month.
But that's the beautiful thing with something like Patreon is like everyone in there is gone, I like this, that's why I'm paying for it. And so once it gets exposed, it's like, okay, it's exposed.
Anyway,
I like this.
I'll pay for it.
Anyways,
back to regular programming.
When's the next episode?
It's like comedy shows. Like you go and you see like 20,000 people rock up or something, and they start talking about stuff that's like you'll get fired for. You know what I mean? But it's like everyone in there's life is all right. Clearly, we like this as far as comedy, right? You know, surely there's some people out there that are like also just mean, but it's like just the comedy. It's like a lot of us just enjoy this. You know what I mean?
Especially like if you know what you're getting into with somebody.
That's it.
I'm not giving them a free pass to be fragrant, but it's like if I know that this person has said that they have these views, and maybe they've had these views in the persona of comedy as opposed to them as like a real entity, then it's like, am I then gonna go to their show, and then be upset when they say it? Like I'm
the crazy one.
Like I just don't think that makes sense. But like you also shouldn't get a pass to just say whatever.
Yeah,
but it's like
it's not a wall to be able to hide behind, I guess, ultimately.
exactly. But it's a paywall that you should.
It is a paywall. No, I found it really dope especially when I realized that all the fact stuff, like, because I think I saw you always say that there was it's one of the videos I was watching where you said that you do all the facts, and I'm trying to remember this vid, man. But you're talking about how there's someone else who does the facts.
So
who does the research?
Kai is more big
does the
into
work?
like the big. Kai does not. He does like a lot more of the research, like the analysis, and the trend. Just like he'll go to the library and actually find out. Okay, this is what says. This is what the newspaper said in 1973 about this specific thing. Versus I will do I will do other things to do with the pod. Did you have a question?
I'm trying to find the vid that I
it's all
saw. I
good.
can't find it anymore. But I was gonna say I found it really dope that it's a pod based on something like that. Like it's cool because we come here, we just talk rubbish. You know what I mean?
Hey, no,
with some facts.
Don't say
Not
don't
that I'm
say
saying it's
just.
rubbish talk. I'm saying that.
I get it. I know because people love that because like honestly, some aspects of our content are moving towards like just having conversations because that's what people gravitate towards. They want to feel like they're in the room. They want to have that parasocial relationship. with people. You're like, oh yeah, I know Daniel. No, you don't. You don't know Daniel, but they feel like they do. And then they'll buy your merch. They'll buy everything. So for us, it's like, we dissect like history through the comment section on social media. So it's like someone speaks that wildness there. It's like, okay, cool. I'm then going to be like, that's not kind of true. Let's have like a bit of a laugh about it. But then in terms of facts, like we then have this other podcast, PhD Unpacked, where we interview PhD authors about their research. So that is like shrouded in facts. That is someone who has done 3 years of research, and it's like, what were your findings? Because there's dope research out there. I'm just not trying to read 400 pages. Like a little half-hour podcast.
I'm there. Give me that.
PhD stand for?
Come on, man. Doctor of Philosophy.
Well, no, is that actually what it stands for your podcast as well?
Oh, well, we just named it PhD Unpacked just because
That's what it's called.
Like,
right?
as in
Oh, for you guys, is that what it's called? Yeah, that's
yeah. So we have PhD Unpacked, which is like one of my friends is the interviewer of that one, and then we have Unpack, which is myself and my friend Kai, and we are the front of that one.
No, that's a dope concept.
That is so unique.
Very, very nice, unique. Nice. Yeah, and that's why people are willing to pay for these pockets of this thing. This is ounce. Nah, that's proper nice. I got a random I don't want to do it as a crazy case, but as an interesting story that I found as I was researching. No, because I want to. There's probably more things to jump into. I don't want to add questions to it as well. But this was a funny story that I saw. Right, so in 2009, there was a lady named Trina Thompson. She sued her college for 70. No, Trina.
It's Katrina.
Her name is.
That's where Trina comes from.
Okay. This guy trying to give, she sued her college for $72,000, right? Actually, maybe I will ask a question. What do you guys think she sued?
Where do you guys think Trina comes from?
Where does Trina come from?
What is the etymology of Trina?
I love that word. When I could be able to say it, when I knew what etymology was, and like I could use that in sentences with people, and they're like, "Oh,
I'm feeling good, bro.
Learn it."
Just making sure this is recording. Y'all heard that etymology?
Come on now, but why do you guys think she sued her college? For $72,000.
Because Trina studied a degree, but actually college is crazy expensive in the States, so $72,000 is not going to be worth a degree. But maybe studied and didn't get a job and is like angry.
I'm not even going to try to go get more of the crowd. Actually, does the crowd have anything else to?
Nah, provide us a bit of context. I want to hear this.
Well, no, that is exactly what it was. She couldn't get a job, right? So she graduated her degree. She graduated her bachelor's degree. I believe it was in IT or something like that, right? And she was unable to find a job for 3 months after.
3 months?
Okay.
Work harder.
I know. For one, I saw that.
Trina. See? This is how I know she's lazy. She even shortened her name. Come on.
3 months? Fam.
She's not grinding. She ain't grinding.
She ain't,
But it was 3 months after that she couldn't find a job after graduating, right? So $70,000 was actually the tuition fees, and then $2,000 was for the stress of job searching. That she added into that year.
2,000 over 3 months.
See, you weren't that stressed.
You weren't that stressed
enough. She also then filed a poor person. She filed a poor person order when she was filing a lawsuit. This is an interesting thing that you can actually do. I don't know if you can do it everywhere in the States, but it's pretty much an order where you file as a poor person, and essentially what happens is you get exempt from any of the fees that were associated from that lawsuit itself.
Damn.
So like, the lawyer, whatever else it might have been. But I was looking at this story, and I was like, this is the case for like pretty much every single person that steps out of uni.
Well, I'm confused. So
story is Trina went to uni.
Literally, the story is Trina went to uni and experienced what everyone else experiences after. I don't know if it was maybe an Ivy League college, and that's why she's like, no. The whole flex is that there's a guarantee of job or work or whatever it might be.
Did she win?
No, she did not win this case.
3 months.
No. Because to be honest, some people win ridiculous cases. You know?
100%.
So just want to double check.
I was like, fam, this is genuinely the experience of everyone. For the most part, pretty much like everyone that does some kind of a degree that is not. How can I say this? Like a degree, it was in IT. It was in something in IT.
Directly linked to a job. Where
where
you study law.
Literally, where else are you going? But
it's IT, bro. She didn't try hard enough.
No, but that's like me, biomed, broad.
No, but
That one's broad.
no.
I need to Google it. IT.
Use the degree.
Nah, IT is crazy, bro.
No, but it's like like IT can amass
I know,
so many things.
Security, it is.
Like
that,
you
yeah.
think you go in and you do nursing. You know you're gonna end up in the hospital doing rotations. You might not know. no.
nursing.
I said just breastfeeding. That is not what they studied.
I was like, is that what they're talking about? That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Wait, no, if that court case went through, that precedent would be
Yo,
Yes,
man.
that would.
institutions would be like,
everyone's
shutting up
making their
shop.
uni money back.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
Fam, I ain't doing this pod, bro. I'm gonna just do hella degrees. Just keep trying to run up these
So 3
degrees.
months, and granted, like, I was blessed that because I did an internship at Deloitte, I then got into the grad program.
Yeah.
But before that, I could go to my computer, look at the important files, and just see CVs and cover letters for days.
Man, it's
Like
crazy.
it's a grind. And I'm not saying like I don't want to be that person that preys on the downfall. People like, oh, everybody should struggle for 5 months. Like, no, but like 3 months.
It ain't
I
enough.
don't know.
It ain't
That-
enough.
That's
That's
a
a life
life
lesson.
lesson. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Also, for you, that might be your summertime. Like you literally finish.
Lost.
and no-
Yeah,
you
yeah.
finish
This is your
exam
break.
in November. You have your break, and then it's like February. People are maybe starting to go back into their jobs.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
You just had too many fun times with someone. You weren't
and then you're
trying
gonna
it.
sue them then? That's kind of wild.
I was gonna would you guys say in some capacity do you still utilize anything from uni? Like, okay, I want to find out what you think you've taken away from uni, and then I'm gonna put a perspective into it as well for you. But yeah, do you think you're utilizing any of these knowledges from university in any capacity? Goodness gracious, it's looking quiet over there.
I think indirectly.
Oh,
Well,
no.
if we're looking at the degree specifically, somewhat yes, because part of the analysis behind Unpack is being able to critically think about the media that you read. And one of the papers that I did was Lies, Damn Lies and Statistics, and it literally teaches you how to read media and understand that, like, oh, they're going to be coming from their perspective, they're owned by this company, this is what they're normally kind of right-leaning, this is why they would say that. So those skills
Framing.
directly relate,
Yeah.
but that's one paper. I did 2 degrees.
This is why I
Like,
laughed at this.
yeah,
because I'm
me-
like, you did the whole 2 degrees and
Yeah.
walked away with a lesson, one learning. Like a whole how many years?
15-minute conversation.
We, the same for me. Like,
You walked away with a 15-minute convo.
the whole 2 degrees could have been, or the learnings at least could have been wrapped up in that 15-minute convo. And I'm like,
Cheeky YouTube video?
yo, I'm looking at
That
what
would be
I've
nice.
taken away. I'm like, fam, what in the world did we spend
I
our
was gonna
money
say that book
on?
that you walked in with.
Oh, that's got nothing to do with my degree, fam.
Yeah, no. I would say you probably learned a lot more from that.
Oh, genuinely.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember what it's called. It's a Bell Hooks book. I think it's about men, masculinity, and the patriarchy.
Will to change.
The will to change. The will to change.
Yes.
Like that book is definitely changing my life. But yeah, the rest of my degree, but holistically, university, relationships, hard work, depending on how hard you worked, life experience. These are
Right.
all like the kind of the softer skills you develop. But in terms of like actual skills, not now. To be honest, even in my like consulting job, it was all just like personability. Because like when you leave uni, like what skills are you going to provide to a company? Like, what do you like? Unless you're
But yet every company's asking,
They
"Oh,
want
what's the uni
experience.
experience at?"
Yeah.
What's the uni
it's
thing?
silly.
But I find it crazy that generally we walk away with these.
Nuggets of information.
Yeah, and you're talking about the relationships.
And I'm reaching. I am reaching for that. I'm reaching for
Bro,
that.
40,000 plus for relationships, bro.
Exactly.
Well, you have
This
it
my
as a
spouse?
safety net. Like for you, surely, we hope that you don't need it ever because, you're going to take off with what you're doing. But it's like, you have that safety net there,
100%.
To fall back on.
I would say for me, it's less so the degree, more the job that I have, just because of the status that the company has.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if
Yeah,
I have that on my
yeah.
CV,
Yeah.
people are gonna be like,
look good,
"Ooh,"
yeah.
Yeah,
even regardless
yeah.
of like the degree that I do. But that is a good point. You're always gonna have that safety net. But I mean, like ultimately, I'm a podcaster now. What
Yeah.
did I learn?
You don't need it.
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you believe in a plan B or just focus on plan A the whole way through?
This is my mum probably wishes I believed in like having like a, she often asks me like what's the backup plan, and I'm like, okay, I've got this work experience, I'll be fine, blah blah blah, and probably wants like a more rigid like, okay, if I don't make X Y Z by 2024, then I want to, like, mum, I'm not thinking about that. I think that if you spend too much time thinking of a plan B, you might get too comfortable. Now I am in a position where if things go poorly, I can move back in with my mum. I can take a break, cry for the fact that I tried really hard and it didn't work out, and I can find a job and I will be fine. Versus like a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
So for me, my plan B maybe is the family safety that I have.
Yeah. It's mad.
I remember last time when we had Bible study and we spoke about
was
plan.
this?
That was a long time ago. The whole
Because
conversation.
I ain't seen this guy.
It's been a
I was like, who's gonna outside?
Yo, I ain't seen this guy. No Bible study.
He didn't need to do you dirty like that. That's crazy.
No, I'm just trying to put a point in time. When was this Bible study?
Nah, the one I used to come with your rent and that.
Before the house got renovated, that was more than
Ew.
9 months ago.
I'm getting renovations.
Before they
Nice,
thought about
okay.
renovating the house.
Before they even thought about renovation. This is before COVID as well, then, bro.
Damn, well, that one I haven't been to in a while. I don't know if you remember the conversation, but it was about plan.
Carry on. I
plan-
feel like I do. I remember.
Plan A, plan B.
Because you did speak about this. And I said, yeah, him. He's got facts.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
The actual ones this time.
Huh?
Yeah.
No facts. It was just thoughts.
It was thoughts.
Yeah, I forgot what the Bible said about plan A or plan B, and I think that's what actually divided the whole room. Mao, you were there too, yeah? Or you weren't around there, I don't know.
Oh, but I come to every session, my friend.
Nah, she was. But no. No,
Yes.
it makes me think about like plan A or plan B, because now it's like, okay, do you get comfortable knowing that there's a plan B, so you don't take plan A all the way through, or is it smart to actually have plan B, but still put effort to plan A all the way through? But is that even possible?
I'd hope so, because I don't think it's wise to necessarily put all of your eggs in one basket, especially something like this, which like at some point my opinions aren't going to be hot in these streets.
Yeah.
Someone might trawl through something I said in 2019 and be like, that was crazy. And I'll be like, yeah, it was also a different time. But you know, we've got the Instagram like apology on my phone already. So
Screenshots ready.
The screenshot is, bro, the post
Just
is
retweet the
drafted.
apology.
The post is drafted, fam. Just need to change the date on the notes, you know? Yeah.
Might have to type one up myself too.
I think it'd be safe to have a plan B, because like while I'm saying like, yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I have my mum as like a fallback, it's like there's a community of people around. It's everything that we do is going to impact more people than we kind of know of. So it's probably best to have a plan B.
I struggle with that plan B, plan A conversation, and just in the regards, like I definitely have a safety net with my degree. I've worked in corporate roles, literally. When did I finish my degree? Yeah, like pretty much almost straight into it. Like I was able to finally get into the industry and all that kind of stuff. Like, so I've got that back in the, and the jobs as well. When we're talking about how people pay for the stuff we talk about, like there's the delusion. Like I was like, people are paying me to work, and I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't think you know who you've let into your company. Right? That's what lies.
Me? You think?
I'm not.
So it's like, thankfully as well, the jobs that I've done too, it's like in my field, like if I present these things, like I can actually, it's constant elevation, thankfully as well. But then it's like, okay, how much of that is really what I want to pursue? For the most part, that's another conversation. But the plan A, plan B part, right? I'm like, I don't like to have to think about ever creating, like whenever I do something, I'll go pretty much fully into it, right? And like and whatever effort is required, like I'm willing to do that, and just it is what it is. Like that's if it turns out bad, you charge it to the game kind of thing. That's kind of how I look at some certain things, right?
Absolutely.
But probably because it comes from me knowing that my plan B is not necessarily a plan that has been put in place, but it is community and family thing. I know that the net that I've got in terms of the support from family and community means that I can probably bounce back into the plan A again.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
So it's like, for me, it's not that let me pivot into, let me not say pivot, let me change what was the direction to get.
Jump on a
It's
new
more
track,
like,
you know?
which train is taking me still to that place? You know what I mean?
He's still trying to go over there.
Yeah, I'm still going.
Destination has been decided.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna
So-
get
OnlyFans, I guess it is.
if you're taking me there, you know. But yeah, for me, it's like,
I see.
when I've thought about it, I was like, I don't actually have any other plans in place. I know I've got a safety net of my degree and my work, which is not what I want to go back into but that ends up being the bounce back rather to just, because it's like, I'm going back to this thing. Like this is where I'm going back to. I'm not giving up on this,
on this
aspect.
plan.
I'm not going to go to this plan that gives me a likeness of the future that I was looking at. It's like, I'm going to this plan that is giving me that particular I guess, future or that goal or something like that. So, yeah, it's interesting.
I like that. I think
Dynamic.
that's actually how I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the point now where I can bounce back and say, do something else. Okay, we don't talk about comments. That's fine. I've got other opinions. There's other things I can say. I've got ideas in my notes app where it's like, okay, cool. This isn't too crash hot. Let's move on to the next
Just
thing.
another word.
Because I am not going back into that corporate.
Yeah.
That's a really good perspective.
I like that.
Plan bounce back from now
Plan
on,
bounce
man.
back.
That's what
Instead of
Plan
taking
B
a train,
is,
take
man.
some-
Plan
yeah,
bounce
this is
back.
good.
Yeah. You got a wake up call for the people, them or anything as well, man? Or?
I do.
Yeah, you said you had a different thing you wanted to pivot to, though. A different topic conversation or something back before.
Did?
Yep,
Oh,
that's great.
Bro, this was like 40 minutes.
It was time ago, yeah. And I realized we never let him get back.
That was we were talking about
was October ago.
Oh, yeah. No, we did it.
Oh, we did it. Oh, shout out to you. Okay, yeah.
No, good on you though. Nice. Yeah.
I was like, damn, we never gave him an opportunity.
Wake up call.
Yeah, it's a wake up call. I don't know. I was gonna say it for next week, but then you brought it up. So I
Nah,
said,
just
you
do
know,
it,
screw
bro.
it.
Wake
Hey,
'em
stop
up.
putting your middle fingers up in photos.
Yes.
No, that is so true. Yes.
Yo.
I fundamentally agree with you. Because the thing is, no, you pop off.
No, did you do your thing?
The thing is,
Yo, didn't even waste the breath to pop off.
Yo, wake up call. Hey, do your thing,
because
bro.
also, if you ever get into any form of trouble ever, that is the photo they are going to use.
100%.
You might be the loveliest, kindest person in your
Thugs.
community.
Yeah.
They are saying thug villain because you have a photo with your hood on, with your
Doing
middle
these
finger
ones,
up.
yeah.
And it's like, who are you, like, honestly, who are you impressing?
Yeah.
Also, who are you flipping off?
The camera
It's your best friend behind the camera.
You just ask them, yo, bro, can you, the fit's kind of great. Can you take a photo? Like, why?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I
Like,
don't get it. Yeah, I
you
don't.
need to
get
cut it out, man.
No, that's true.
Like after the age of 16, it stops being edgy.
Yeah.
It really stops being edgy. Like when I'm seeing 24-year-olds in the club, you know, you see the album come out afterwards, basement, camera, whatever.
Hey,
Yeah.
name them.
Yeah.
Name and shame.
And then you're going through it, and then you see it. I know this girl. Why is she flipping me off? It's so unnecessary,
It's
man.
also like, you're like, why would you
Smile.
You've never done that before in your life. Why are you?
Why are you
Why
doing it?
like?
Like,
You're not about that.
Why only for the camera? That's the true one.
You're not about that. You're like, so what? Are you saying I should pull up? Okay. And then it's like, oh no, like, bro.
Yeah. I
I'm
agree
not big.
with
It's also
this.
your digital footprint. Come on, yeah.
Yes.
You if you get arrested, if you whatever, but also like
that
just
photo.
in general, bro. Your employer's gonna go find your name on Facebook. First thing they see is this one.
And like, also, what is your explanation? Oh, I was drunk in the club and thought it was cool.
Well, there you go.
Next
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mad. Dang,
I don't like
man.
taking photos with people that actually do it.
When they're
too.
doing it, yeah.
In the photo with you.
Yeah, nah.
Yo, we're
wanna
gonna
be
we're gonna be
associated.
taking photos after this. Yo, Thabi's gonna be.
I remember one time.
Is that the photos for this week?
Hey, my brand can.
I remember one time with the club, and used to go. Photographer's like, "You want to take a photo?" I said, "Yeah." Well, my friend, the guy puts up the finger. I'm like, "Bro,
It's not that deep, bro.
not
This,
that
we know him.
It's
That's
not
our
cool.
friend.
Not anymore. It's
Also,
not.
when do my parents see these photos?
yeah."
Exactly.
The mad one is if
They're
you've
gonna
set
tell me
up
not
a
to hang out with you no more. Bro.
Yeah, you,
Like honestly,
if you've set up a self timer as well, because we're in the day and age where people are taking photos like this for themselves. Fam, come
The
on,
other
man.
one that used to be mad, I'm so glad they cut this out. Yeah, this one was but this one was actually annoying.
Oh yeah.
That one was very irritating.
That was
It was
unnecessary.
very, very weird.
That was weird.
It's because it was also like just before we actually understood what that is. I don't know why we were doing it.
that one was wild.
Yeah.
That one was wild.
Yeah.
So cut it out. Cut it
Stop
out.
with the
guys.
fingers, not nice.
That's
Yeah.
that's so true.
It's not cool.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna find out what's
Oh, what's
yeah,
up with the Wellingtonian of the year 2022?
Aha. So
talk to us.
I was nominated for Wellingtonian of the Year for
Yeah.
2022 in the education category. In the
Ooh.
education category, I was
In the speech
nominated
one.
for.
Etymology.
I've got all my good words out. I have nothing left.
For now.
Nah, so through the work that we do through Coalesce, which is the parent company, that's like the platform for all the creative stuff we do. So through Coalesce, through Unpackednz PHD Unpacked, I was nominated for Wellingtonian of the Year in the education category.
Wow.
The award show was actually the night before I flew to Melbourne. Didn't win.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, it's Carp. Like the way that I was like,
Nah,
didn't win. Nah, it was honestly, I was stoked. The fact that
Sick.
people
you
like
were nominated,
recognize
yeah.
it.
That's well done,
And like
bro.
when we were talking about the perception thing, it's like that people are gonna like saw that. and were like, "Yo,
The bag is up.
The bag is up," and I'm
The
like,
price has changed.
Because you
there
got
was
down your bio.
$7. Oh, that's staying in my bio.
Yeah, that's
Staying
I
in
couldn't
my
just
bio.
buy it, so I said,
That's staying.
good.
The award show has happened.
Yeah.
That is staying in my bio.
That is staying there. I
No,
feel
that is like, I am going to next year when it goes to 2023. I'm taking the 2022 out of my bio, and it's just nominated for that. Absolutely.
I'm gonna do that too.
I'm gonna catfish my way to the top if I have to, as you say. Bounce back. I'm regardless.
Yes.
That is good.
But yeah, it was also just wild to receive because I think when you're at school, there are different forms of like achievements, awards. Then as adults, you don't get
Very little.
Whoa,
That's true.
what a good
That's
shout.
true.
That's
You don't
interesting.
Life is just one big participation award.
like you're just expected to just like get up, go to work, pay a tax, You don't get any like achievements. So again, that like wearing a suit for the first time since I left my corporate job, having my mum like dress up with me, that's like that was nice.
the award.
That was nice. That was the award for me. And it's like also a lot of the people who are up for awards, like I'm 27, a lot of people are up for the awards. 40, 50, 60. Like we up. Like,
Yo,
this
that's
now,
nice.
27.
Okay. On the radar.
Okay,
for sure.
well, my watch.
Yeah.
Give us time.
Oh, well done, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Also, just realized how iconic the Afro comb is.
Oh, bro, it's a big part
Everywhere.
of the brand.
What's
Hair, big thing for African communities.
Yeah.
We know this. We know this. And a lot of
big thing in the Arab community is as well.
Massive thing.
I
It's just all on our back.
I wasn't gonna press my man like that, you know. I was just gonna let it fly.
Gonna let it fly. Yeah.
Hair has been a symbol for civil rights movements all over the world, not just in America, in different parts of the world. The Africa in particular, like in African American communities, has been a big thing there, and it's something that the first time I actually just accidentally wore it in my hair, like on the bus, and then got to uni, saw in the reflection, and I was like, oh, whoops. Like, it was genuinely an accident. And then I think like a couple years later, when I started doing the creative stuff, I was like, okay, I'm going to kind of keep this in, And it's now just like become a thing where it's just like, I just leave it in there, and like you'll see most of my Instagram photos, like it's in there. So that's what it's about. And it's a nice little accessory. As I said, I like pretty things.
Easy.
Pretty guy.
You know what I'm saying? There you go. I was going to say, who can we look out for in New Zealand, though? Like, within podcasting?
Me.
That's the end of that question.
What is the scene like? I can imagine there's a lot of musicians, obviously a lot of athletes, but outside of those two in the creative sense, like, is there a lot going on?
The biggest podcasts in New Zealand are like radio shows. So like ZM, which is they're recording their radio online, they chop it up and then like post as a podcast. And I'm like, I'm not gonna get into like, oh, whether should that count as a pod? Like, what?
It's being streamed.
It's whatever. So so podcasting is like growing, but I think it also speaks to an issue in New Zealand where like we don't necessarily support our own until we've made it. So once you have achievements like Wellingtonian of the Year, people will come out the woodwork. Yo, I saw that. It's like, bro, you haven't followed the page on Instagram. I've been bros with you for 5 years. People only support you once you think that you have made it. So it is a growing space. There's a lot of cool kind of podcasts like in the country. They're all blanking in my mind, which is really embarrassing.
Well,
I know. Well, no, there are.
I was so ready to search these things up.
Honestly,
No, you can give us the info after, don't worry.
Yeah, okay. I was like, can I give you some info after? I'll need to. But I think there's a generation of young people who are creative, who are like, no, we are going to do this. We're going to make it on the world stage. We're going to make this financially viable. So it's really not only just like our region, as I was talking about before, but in New Zealand specifically, it's like very, very exciting. Now, in terms of like people of color in particular, like there's a lot of like indigenous artists. Like one of my friends, Tawairangi, he has his short film, and he's played it in like international film festivals like all over the world, which is like crazy to me. And it's just like getting used to the fact that, this shouldn't be a surprise. Yeah, we are up. We are doing dope things. We can do this. Because it's like people measure their version of success in New Zealand as like making it maybe in New Zealand, which is like dope and fun. And people do what you want to do. But it's like, I got bigger dreams. A lot of people I know have bigger dreams. So there's a lot of dedicated, very talented people who need maybe just like a little bit more resources here, a little bit more support here. So it's,
On the note of that short films, I say it time and time again, please continue to give me these directors or people creating them, because I find short films to be I don't want to put it as like, it's the peak level of creativity, because you can't compare different lanes of creativity to each other. But short films I find particularly interesting because the amount of resource required to create these things and the fact that you have a vision in your mind but can now, like you can convey a story visually that started off in your mind and you're able to put get the right cast, direct the right exact shots, the color grading, like that kind of stuff. I just find it super, super like, man, you really try. This is an intimate art form right here. So constantly, I keep saying, put me onto like short film creators. So yeah, it'll be nice to check out that.
Yeah, I'll need to give you some names after I need some time.
I'll send one for sure. But yeah, what can we look out for then? At least for you guys, in what you're up to, but then in general.
So for myself and Kai, our project Unpack, we will be releasing some coffee breaks. That's like 15-minute episodes, our visual episodes, on masculinity at some point over the next couple months. Kai is doing all the work on that. I don't actually know when it's coming out. I'm very excited. I'm really making it sound like man does everything and I'm just like, so you know what? That'd be a great life. I'm like pretty thing.
Yeah, there we go.
We are currently releasing season 2 of PhD Unpacked, which is the podcast where we talk to PhD authors about their research. We've looked at topics like pornography. We've looked at topics like family violence. We've looked at topics like suicide. We've looked at topics like the built world around us, so architecture. The last episode we just released was on media representation of refugees. So there's like a whole...
Oh, that's nice.
We try to tackle topics that people in general, but specifically New Zealanders, don't really like to talk about because we're pretty... Nah, she'll be right. It's like, nah, she was not right. That's what
she was in fact in distress.
The narrator was saying she was not having a good time.
Yeah.
So those are the... And just... We're going to be launching on a TikTok and doing other things like that. Because, I mean, as you said, getting into people's face, it's like...
That's the way, bro.
Need to get some processes down, need to get some editing down.
Yeah. That's the part, man.
Out there,
Hey, that's sick. That's cool. That is nice. Yeah, keen to see for sure. We got a New Zealand friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I've got someone that y'all can check out for sure. Make sure you do. Probably know I'll let you do your thing. Let me know. Try to do no outro.
Sure. Hey, thank you for joining us for another episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this around. Make sure you follow Thabi as well. We'll catch you guys episode 189 next week. Peace out.
You should have done. You should have stuck your fingers up.
Yo,
Gave him thumbs up instead.
Because I'm pretty sure Mama's probably going to listen to this episode in particular. I could never.
Ain't happening. But nah, that was dope.